And welcome to our weekly Reverie Esports Open. This is week number 64. I'm your caster, EffectFX, and we have Octavian back from his little vacation in Central America. Welcome back, Octavian.
It's good to be back. I missed air conditioning and internet. They were nice amenities. It makes you appreciate them all the more when you got to go 2 weeks without them. Or
Absolutely.
most of 2 weeks without them. I did get to go to a resort for a little while, but that's aside because we've got some League of Legends to cast here tonight, and I am excited to get back into it. I took a little bit of a break, as you said, and so my knowledge of the meta is purely theoretical at this point. Haven't played a good amount over the last few weeks, but I am excited to dig back into it once again.
Well, it is definitely going to be shaking up a little bit because there was a patch recently, and I do believe the New York is in.
The New York, alongside, from what I've seen, some changes to a few mid laners. I think Cassiopeia got hit with a little bit of a nerf, which makes some sense. We were seeing Cassiopeia everywhere when last I was around. And on top of that, I think there was a buff to Corki as well, and he's been making his way slowly up the ranks in the 80 carry role. But we've got some bans coming through. These teams, we're not too familiar with them here at Reverie. I think this is the first time through our ladder for both of them. And it is going to be Nexus Hunters on blue side and Monkeys with a Mission, with one of the better names that we've come across recently. We get some great names here. I love it. People are so creative.
Absolutely, and lots of unusual bands, and they're hovering on a Shaco pick.
Yeah, yeah, indeed. I, from what I've heard, Shaco has seen a little bit more play recently, but I don't really want to go so far as to say that he's becoming more standard. But one way or another, he doesn't actually get locked in. It is going to be Vi as a first pick, presumably jungle, comes through for the Nexus Hunters. Let's see whether or not they can snag their prey this game.
Oh, and we're seeing Monkeys with Mission hovering on the monkey, and they lock in Graves for possibly jungle.
Yeah. See whether or not they're boosted animals or just regular animals. As the Graves jungle is still up there at the top of the list, though he's been joined by some relatively unusual ones in the jungle. You see Zax actually nowadays, and apparently Vi as well, as Nexus Hunters have locked that in for themselves, and an instant pickup of a bottom lane for Nexus Hunters, going with the potent combo of Brawn and Jin. High damage right there.
And we're seeing Twisted Fate being hovered on. It's another pick that, well, we haven't
Oh,
seen it in a while, but it was popular for a long time.
and alongside a Gangplank that offers quite a bit of global pressure between presuming we're in LCS order here between Snickerdoodle and Mush Monkey. Oh my God, these players, they have the best names. But Snickerdoodle and Mush Monkey are going to be able to exert quite a bit of pressure across the map here, though it may be a Fictus who's playing the Gangplank. They may not be in LCS order. Some teams do that for us. Some teams like to make us work and
They make
make us do some guesswork.
they want to make me move stuff around in the beginning of the game instead of pay attention.
Oh, it's a hard life as a caster, isn't it? In fact, it's a hard life.
It's the hardest.
It's a hard knock life for us. And Xerath and Echo would round out this team composition with some decent team fighting potential. They've got some long range poke, but Xerath seems a little bit strange in their comp, though. It doesn't really fit in so great. The rest of the comp that Nexus Hunters has taken seems to be centered around some sort of lightweight skirmishing. I like the Vi, the Echo, like nice bruising front lines. But
The
Xerath
Xerath is a
wasn't going to be
curious.
able to belt out damage from the back.
It's
Team
gonna be,
fighting.
yeah,
Makes
nice
sense.
periodic damage, but it doesn't output the DPS of say
No.
Cassiopeia or Azir, but he does have that range.
Well, old Azir. Azir is no
Oh,
longer sitting upon his golden throne.
poor Azir.
He has been usurped, nerfed hard, hit with the nerf hammer.
It's
This
just
patch
it
we
was
own it.
it was patch after patch. They just kept hitting him over
Mhm.
and over again.
To some degree warranted. He was sitting up there on the top of the ladder for quite a while, but perhaps it was a little bit of an overreaction. That's just how the pendulum sort of swings, though, in a game with as many characters, as diverse a cast as League of Legends. You're going to get some characters that, when they get nerfed a little too hard, and it's kind of
And
difficult to keep everybody on the straight and narrow. And you don't really need to, anyways, because you're going to have new picks bubbling up to the surface as old ones fall down to the bottom. Anyways, we do have both compositions fully locked in here, and it is going to be a Bard to round it out for the side of the Monkeys. And you got any thoughts on these two teams, how they're going to face off here? Now we can see every pick.
Well, it looks like monkeys with a mission do have a mission here where they're wanting to abuse their global pressure because they don't have much of a front line. And
That's
basically, they're
true.
going to probably have Snickerdoodle on that Graves buying those pseudo tank items like Phantom Dancer, Starix Gauge, stuff like that.
Mm. Yeah, then they're
But
missing a sort of beefcake front line, something which Dinosaurus will bring with the Vi or Banner 2525, Banner 2525. It's quite a few banners that came before him, but this is going to be the successful one here on the Echo. It's an interesting matchup to say the least, but we do have 2 minutes of a spectator delay to get through before we can see how it turns out.
absolutely. So, on that note, we are going to take a small, tiny commercial break. And as soon as we are in game, we'll be joining you guys then. So, don't go anywhere. And we're back! To the Rift.
As always.
Now, let me take this moment to go ahead and adjust all these nice little pictures.
All right, and on the Rift tonight, we do have the Nexus Hunters versus the Monkeys with a mission, or on a mission?
With a mission.
Monkeys with a mission.
Yes.
They have a mission, they're not on a mission. They have the mission, they have not necessarily begun the mission yet. We'll see whether or not they do, as it looks like they're actually going on a little bit of a mission into the jungle here, 4 men strong. They've left behind Afflictus, but they don't need him. They don't need him. He can go and play with some barrels in the other jungle.
They do have some stunts here, so this could get a catch here.
Yeah, definitely, especially since it looks like they're going to be coming up on Bard Dog, who was not expecting an attack from that direction. He's going to be stunned up there, flashing potentially over the wall. No, he's not going to bother to burn the summoner. He knew he was dead either way. That is first blood going over to Afflictus, showing up late to the party, but the life of it nonetheless. Oh, Dinorus is getting flashed down here. Tazlife is going for the slow. If Mushmonkey can just get him range with a gold card. Oh, the Q gets interrupted before it goes over the wall, and maybe it never would have made it. One way or another, Dinorus is not allowed to find out. Another playing card finds its way to his neck and cuts it open. That was graphic.
So that's Monkeys with Mission picking up 2 kills.
Yeah, and they've started this mission particularly strong. A kill onto both of their solo laners is certainly not going to hurt them. And Tazlife already 100% kill participation on the support Bard. I can prove that.
Absolutely. We did see quite a few summoners burn there, though.
That we did. But, you know, I would say it's definitely worth it. Like, they still have Flash Heal available on Zealot. He didn't burn a single drop of his summoner juice. And Afflictus as well is still rocking both his Flash and his Teleports. So they've got tools to work with for sure. Tazlife is a little bit weaker without the Flash and the Ignite, but the 2 assists, that's going to be enough gold to more than make up for it. I'm just a little worried for them perhaps because both Fakers and Bard Dog still held on to all their summoners. So a fight breaks out in the 2v2 in the bottom lane, it could very well go over to the Jhin and the Bard.
Absolutely. Something I did note during the loading screen is I'm sorry, how do I say Barnes? Banner 2525 took Fervor for Battle instead of something else.
Perhaps with the Undying is what you usually go, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Bruiser.
So it looks like he really wants to get
some extra damage out of that Fury, I'd imagine. Probably similar to the grasp damage, he's just losing the sustain. So it is a little bit of an odd choice for sure.
So it's better for sustained damage output. The longer you stay in, the more damage it does.
Yeah, I suppose, but he's not going to get as much sustain himself. That's the problem. He's not going to have quite as much healing with all of it only coming from the Corrupting Pot instead of any of it coming from his masteries. I think it might have with the other choice. Oh, there's an invade here from Dinorus. Well, actually, no, pardon me. There's an invade from Snickerdoodle on to Dinorus. There's the phase dive, though, trying to slow Snickerdoodle down, keep his jungler safe.
Banner's doing a lot of damage, but...
He's going to get gold carded, though, and he does not have any way to warp back in time. Not quite yet. So we're going to wait a little while for that level 6. There's going to be another kill going over to Mushmonkey, who's looking for another one. He's hunting Oliver here. I don't know if they've got anything left in the tank to take down that Xerath, though. Quick draw forwards, but...
Not quite in range for the slow. Still, though, it's Mushmonkey showing off some nice little map presence there to roam down and help out.
Yeah, and Mushmonkey's sitting pretty. With 2 kills of his own and an assist. We haven't seen him go back to base yet, but I imagine he's sitting on quite a quantity of gold. Yeah, 1.2k already. We're only 4 minutes into the match, so got a long way yet to go still, but he may be going to the grave pretty early. One more auto. There's the flash in for it, and there were no summoners available. Actually, Ghost was up. I don't know if Mushmonkey could have got out of there.
It looked like it just came up. I'd have to actually go back and see the exact...
Still, though, Ghost gives you more distance over a longer period of time, and the instantaneous nature of Flash means that I think he still would have got the kill with the Flash auto there.
Probably. It's very unlikely that he would have escaped even with the Ghost.
Yeah, had he popped Ghost earlier in the fight, he might have been able to get away from some of the earlier damage, but if you're right that it only just came up at the very end, that wouldn't have even been an option. Anyways, we return once more to this 2v2 bottom lane. The summoners will soon be available once again for Tazlife, and things seem to be going... well, pretty evenly overall, discounting those assists that Zalent and Tazlife are sitting on.
Absolutely. Taking into account the procs from Relic Shield, it's actually giving Fakers there a little more gold. So So it's a little deceptive, but
Wasn't it changed so that Relic Shield actually does count as CS both for the
did they
support and
fix
AD
that?
carry?
I
Yeah, I
cannot
think
remember if they did.
now
Well,
I may be wrong, but I believe it counted it counts the number as a CS both for the AD carry and the support, or for the
oh,
user and the beneficiary, I guess. Oh
okay.
man, Mush
Oh,
Monkey, he is getting he is getting a lot of damage handed to him on a silver platter there. Olivier is going to take control of the lane. And Snickerdoodle is up on the top side looking for the 2v1. Banner's going to land the stun there with parallel convergence. Phase dive gets some distance and he flashes under his turret to safety. A flash to follow from Afflictus, but he instantly changes his mind.
seeing that Banner, they're not having too much struggle, even though there is such a massive difference in rank. He's doing quite well.
Is that really? What's sort of difference in rank are we looking at?
I believe he was silver, and that Afflictus is diamond. I want to say.
Oh,
I have
man.
to.
Olivier roaming to the top side picks up his third kill of the game. And you know, despite the 2 early kills given over to his opponent, Olivier has handled that very well. And he's come out now with a 3-kill lead for himself. Well done.
He's definitely having a really good game. We were a little concerned earlier about this Aerith, but it looks like that's a comfort pick for him, maybe. He's doing really well.
Yeah. I mean, the concern I had wasn't so much for the laning phase as it was for the later game, but Fakers is going to be dashing away, but not quickly enough. Zilent will relentlessly pursue and finish the kill with a double tap. As Tazlife continues to play with his alternate number. Our dog left without an AD carry has to just wait around. Right, the Arcane finds one hit, and Dinorus is there to finish it off with Olivier 2020, not giving up a kill that easily. Snipes it away from his jungler.
Mush Monkey, despite his earlier pressure, having a really big struggle against that range coming out of Olivier Xerath.
Well, Banner continues to do decently well for himself up here on the top side. He's stretched ahead by about 10 CS. Avoided that gank earlier at the cost of his flash, admittedly, but still managed to keep himself relatively safe. And he's landing some good harass here into Afflictus. And keeping his barrels relatively at bay. If you're seeing the same visual bug that I am, the barrels don't have their area.
I didn't see it either, actually.
Yeah, it's an interesting little one. Relatively minor as far as the visual bugs go, though. I've seen turrets that were just pure black, like gazing into the void.
Definitely,
I've seen
given the length of time, I imagine we've both seen a variety of very interesting visual bugs.
The spaghetti behind this game is a complex and interesting beast. I believe it's grown sentience at this point. Anyways, Banner might actually be... Yeah, he's getting ported on here. The Destiny coming up to the top side from Mush Monkey, and there's the secondary global from just a few inches away. One more card will do it! And Mush Monkey is there to stack the deck against his opponent, but Dinorus is coming in for the revenge. Booming. Maybe, I don't know, I was going for some sort of wordplay there, but it just kind of fell apart at the seams.
Ooh, and Afflictus is
Dinorus.
just enough mana, but he's going to get picked up by Livier.
Oh no, Livier following the roam. A little bit late to the party, but nonetheless, getting himself a kill. Meanwhile, we've got a 2v2 in the bottom side. The heal going to be keeping Zilent alive, but only long enough for Fakers to drop another auto into him. And the magical journey will get Taz's life to safety. He's already lost what is most near and dear to every support's heart. And the supports, they just want to be nice guys. Help out their AD carries, keep them alive. I always feel sad whenever they die.
So this game has been somewhat action-packed, and lots of fighting everywhere.
What more can you expect from the Nexus Hunters and the Monkeys with a Mission? Those are some big names, man.
Absolutely.
They'll be action-packed every day, all day.
Let's see, how are the lanes doing?
Snickerdoodle finishing off that Warrior enchantment. Just about on time with Dinorus finishing his as well. Both junglers going for an aggressive route. Expected from the Greys, but there were options for a Vi. Mush Monkey takes a little bit more poke. Olivier has done quite well in this Xerath pick. I can certainly see why they picked it up. Even if it seems a little out of place in the composition in general, it's worked out beautifully for him in lane.
Absolutely. He's definitely showing some mechanical proficiency with landing all of his skill shots.
And the more you've got of that, the less composition matters, really, in the end. It's a balance of the two. You want to have a good composition, you want to have mechanical skill. You can't have one, then you get the other. Dinorus with the combo of the Right of the Arcane landing just instantly deletes what little remains of Mush Monkey's health bar.
Banner taking a little damage there, but he has picked up a health crystal, so he's a little more resilient to that damage.
I'm actually really interested to see what Banner's build is going to be. There's a few options now for Echo since they sort of nerfed Bruiser Echo, buffed AP Echo. Neither one is so good that it outclasses the other to a huge degree, or so bad that it's never an option. So really could go either way. I think Bruiser makes more sense this game though, given how well his mid lane is performing. And Afflictus, well, he's going to get the benefit of the continued stroll that Dinarus is taking across Summoner's Rift.
Absolutely.
Top lane, we'll see where he goes next. There's the Tempered Fate onto Fakers, leaving Bard Dog all alone. Glacial Fissure comes down, but a beautiful stun from Tazlight as the golden statue resolves to be just a regular man, and then resolves to be a dead man. The double kill for Snickerdoodle.
I have a really hard time to tell who is winning here.
Right?
It's so even.
It very much is. It's going to be rather even in objectives as well. I would say that the huge discrepancy in mid lane in particular worries me because Olivier has been mechanically performing quite well, and they've done pretty much nothing to shut him down so far. Snickerdoodle has paid very little attention in the mid lane, but that's not to say that Snickerdoodle hasn't doing his job. We just saw that double kill bottom lane, and leading to a turret, leading to probably a dragon here, unless it's stolen by Olivier. We'll have to see whether or not that can go down. So
that was very, very scary.
of all people, Alucianato took that.
Snickerdoodle almost pulling a St. Vicious there.
Well, almost doesn't quite count in these weapons. Almost only counts in hand shoes and horse grenades, as I like to say.
Absolutely. Well, Olivier actually mentioned a couple of skill shots there that could have put Mush Monkey in a little more trouble.
Hand shoes, horse grenades, no. Okay. Okay. No, I'll keep going. I'll keep going. One of these days, I'll trip you up. Effect. You're too cool for me right now, though.
Absolutely. I try.
No, you don't. That's what makes you so cool. It's all effortless.
Speaking of things we were talking about earlier, Banner's working towards Trinity Force on Echo, which is an interesting choice.
Yes, it is. Less interesting than it used to be, since the Trinity Force buffs a while back. It is a much more viable option now, but you see Snickerdoodle returning to the bottom lane. He's had some recent success, and well, if it ain't broke, then why bother fixing it? Another stun on the Bard Dog. Nicely done, but he did get over the wall just in time. Meanwhile, Ghost, well, Mush Monkey is trying his best to get out of there on the back of it.
But
it looks like a chilling smite will stop him in his tracks.
Dinarus is like, you're not getting away.
Ooh, Tazlight might be in some trouble. There's Curtain Call. So whether or not the bullets find him. Mark, the Deathfire touch is burning, and Tazlight just about survives. The body block is going to be Oh, Snickerdoodle and Afflictus. They're in some trouble. Dinosaurus will go down to Afflictus. He gets the shutdown gold, but it's a 2-kill trade back in response. The double kill goes over to
Banner. And gives him his first kills of the game, but he still has that CS lead.
Yeah, about 20 or so. So that alongside the kills means that I imagine he has enough to finish off the Trinity Force at this point. He's sitting on about 1,000. He's got 2 of the pieces. 2.5 really the pieces completed, so can't have much farther left to go.
It's certainly going to be very close.
It's stun. Parallel Convergence comes in. Banner is really looking for this one. He's diving 2 turrets here. Mush Monkey is going to try and turn this one around as well, but there's the Chrono Break. And it looks like Banner gets out of there scot-free.
Poor Mush Monkey is just beginning abused since he had a really good early performance, but then Olivier...
No, all alone as Faker takes a little bit of a breather, turning into gold for a moment. The heal from Zalent will keep him alive through the return damage from Faker as he comes out of his brief vacation. And it looks like that's going to be a kill. Going over to Tazlight and Zalent.
You can't really tell from score, but it looks like Zalent and Tazlight are the slightly better lane. They're working together a lot better.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing some great synergy. A lot of that can be laid down to the fact that Snickerdoodle, I think, has been down there 3 times now in the last few minutes. He's in this early-ish mid-game, whatever you want to call this section of the game here. We've seen a lot of focus from Snickerdoodle to the bottom lane in particular. And I think that's just due to his other 2 lanes not really having a lot to help him out with, you know? Olivier has done a great job of holding down mid. He's now 5-0, getting rewarded for his play for sure. And top lane, while it hasn't been quite as huge a discrepancy, still isn't exactly in favor of Afflictus, who's behind, has been behind by quite a bit of CS. He's caught up recently, though, to his credit. So it's just kind of natural to see Snickerdoodle heading bottom lane, where he's going to have the easiest time getting some ganks successfully.
It does make a lot of sense.
Speaking of Snickerdoodle, though, Find himself in a 1v1 here with Dinosaurus. They're both doing pretty comparable damage, but Dinosaurus is coming out just about on top. Tazlife is around the corner with the heal and the stun. Now we have none of the shots have been actually here's the fake needed the shutdown going over to Elysian. It gets dropped into the curtain call, but he can't find the snipes either. Snickerdoodle is dodging bullets like he's in the Matrix here.
Oh man, poor Olivier finally having his first death. Zalent showing him the door.
Yeah, and I'm sure Mushmonkey is happy with that, despite the fact that he wasn't able to port in time to get the revenge himself. Seeing Olivier go down after having such a frustrating lane against him probably does have some level of gratification to it. That does leave an opening in the bottom lane, though, and it looks like Bard Dog and Figures are going to try and take advantage of that, but maybe not quickly enough. Tazlife, knowing he's been spotted, is going to try and squash the culprit in the form of that pink ward. And they may still try and go for this. Tempered Fate is available. Snickerdoodle is again near the bottom side of the map, but it looks like their targets have backed off pretty thoroughly. Or not. Sitting in the tri-bush. Still think we may have some potential for explosive action down here.
Absolutely. They just need to... They don't know they're there. There's no wards. So now they're going to spot them going into the river.
Snickerdoodle is basing up in the top side of the river. This is Zalent all alone. Tazlife does snare up both Genosaurs and Bard Dog with that ulti. And another beautiful stun as they come out of it as well. Tazlife plays the hero and gets Zalent easily to safety.
Absolutely. Tazlife with the extremely well-played Bard.
Yeah, that was beautifully done. And some darn good support play. Bard Dog is going to take a few love taps on the way out here. Oh man, Zalent going aggressive with that dash. That could have been punished pretty hard. It honestly looked like Bard Dog and Baker just didn't expect him to dash forward that quickly.
I certainly wouldn't have. I'd be like, that may have been a mistake. But not really able to capitalize on it. Ooh, that grenade doing a lot of damage.
Yeah, I mean, that was the maximum potential right there. It bounced 3 times, killed each of its targets, and then hit him with the final bounce. And now they may just go for the kill off their long-range ultis. Red to the Arcane and Curtain Call both do massive damage, but they get just about out of the range of the Curtain Call. Red to the Arcane ain't enough by itself. It's exhaust and 2 ultis burned, and not really all that much gained. Tazlife may have dropped the flash somewhere in there.
Dinara's trying to get some vision control there, but not quite able to clear out that pink ward.
If they get this turret, though, it may have been worth the investment in the end, and it is quite low. So, yeah, that does fall. See whether or not they get flanked on. Twisted Fate is coming in, making use of those globals. This is done to Olivier, but he cleanses it off instantly. Bard Dog is going to have to flash out of there. Some summoners down already. Mushmonkey popping the ghost to make some distance. There's the flash away from Olivier, though. Doesn't want to let him get close enough. Now Banner and Dinarus are flanking. Dinarus is going to finish off Tazlife. That's the support down. It's a double kill for Dinarus now. As he's wreaking havoc in the backline here. A triple kill for the Vi. Can he get the quadra? Afflictus is held up there. One more auto does it, and there's the quadra kill for Dinarus' Vi. Well done.
Yeah, that is going to be ace. That is going to be... That's Nexus Hunters, I believe. I forgot the name of the team.
Nexus Hunters first. It looks like they may be failing their mission here. Whatever intelligence agency they report back to is going to be quite disappointed with that play. As Nexus Hunters flanked on them beautifully there. Both bruisers coming in and wreaking havoc with the backline after a ton of resources were burned in that extended chase.
Definitely we're not expecting the Vi to come in with a quadra kill. It's always easy to forget how much damage a Vi can do if you let her hit you.
Yeah, I mean, especially at this point in the game. This is when Vi is at her most powerful, really, around like level 11 or so. When she's got a reasonable cooldown on her ult, because the rank 1 ult cooldown is rather egregiously long. But the rank 2 is pretty okay. And just has a lot of base damage, plus the armor pen from Warrior, and the enemy doesn't have a lot of armor to counter that flat armor pen. So Dinarus is a big threat, and is only going to be a larger threat now after picking up the quadra kill. So I think for the next maybe 10 minutes of the match, Dinarus is going to be calling the shots.
So we're seeing that it is going to be Riftchild actually being taken. It's not something that happens very often. He often gets abandoned and left alone.
Commit suicide every game.
Absolutely. It's like, I don't want to be here anymore.
He's just making way for his bigger cousin. He goes back home and lets the other guy take care of business.
That's the big giant snake tentacle thing.
The other thing I'm interested in now, especially since Dinorus was just funneled all that gold. I said I was interested earlier in where Banner's going to go with his Echo build, but I'm also curious as to where Dinorus will go with the Vi build. It looks like now that he's finished off 2 core damage items, the Warrior and the Sterix, Sterix can be said to be sort of like a hybrid defensive damage. He's going for some pure defensive options with just a lot of armor stacking. We got a 1v1 here between Banner and Afflictus, though the Chrono Break right on top of Afflictus, and Banner is on a rampage. Well-deserved one attack.
Banner having quite the game, doing a lot of damage with that Bruiser Echo build.
Trinity Force, it's got tons of damage, you could say.
Absolutely. Speaking of that Vi armor build, it looks like he is going for a Dead Man's Plate. That's a nice... More mobility, never hurts, and of course it has that nice little extra chunk of damage at full momentum.
Yeah, and it's about being able to get within range to then use your ulti. That's the most important time to be moving quickly on Vi while you're getting close to someone, because after that you can just press R on them, just point and click, it's pretty easy. But you have to first get in range to do that, and Dead Man's Plate is certainly helpful to that end.
Absolutely.
The threat of Olivier being around forced Snickerdoodle to smite that blue buff, so Bush Monkey's not going to have the benefit of it. Which is a small victory, I'd say, for Nexus Hunter. Oh, dang.
Luden's Echo doing a little more damage there.
Yeah, there's some tangible evidence of it in the form of a few hundred hit points missing from Mush Monkey. And, yeah, I mean, it looked, you said earlier, relatively even between these two teams, but I think, whoa, the solo lanes, they have it here. There's the Destiny coming out. He was standing on a pink ward, so we thought they didn't have vision, but right at the arcane, when one shot lands near there, he does get this vision, so he's still able to land the second hit. Snickerdoodle will get some distance with the collateral damage, does knock himself away with that. A beautiful double stun from Taz Life that does catch up both Banner and Dina, and that looks like Banner will be going down. Now Dina is getting the benefit of the Sterix Gauge, going to turn back around. He's looking for at least one kill out of this seemingly hopeless situation, but he's not even going to get that. Meanwhile, though, his team is doing some work in the mid lane, taking a secondary turret down.
Taz Life was the MVP of that. Landing that double stun was so crucial.
Yeah, keeping Afflictus safe as well with a slow off the meat to hold the enemy Vi at bay. That alongside the Cannon Barrage. Slow.
Speaking of Afflictus, he is in a lot of trouble. He's opting for the teleport.
He almost got down. Wow. Pulse doing some massive deeps.
He is grateful that he is able to get away, because that was super close.
Pardon me. Sorry. Drop something. Secondary turret now under fire in the mid lane this time, though. For the Nexus Hunters. Oh no, Mush Monkey's going to get stunned, and the follow-up from Banner proves deadly.
Man, it's they just not expecting this super high Xerath play. It's so rare to see Xerath in one of these tournaments. I'm so happy we get to see some variety.
It is generally just rare to see Xerath in general, but like he fills the niche that he fills quite well. Oh dang!
Speaking of niche, Zealot.
Zealot nearly going down. The Yumu's saving him from, I think, that first shot. If that had connected, he would have died to the other two. But still enough pressure to keep him from being able to clear this wave. To burn the Gangplank ulti to keep the turret alive. The Bard ulti as well coming in. A nice stun on the Banner, holding him up against the turret there. Chrono Break gains a little bit of health back, but he gets stunned up again within the range of the turret, so that's the end of that. Oh, there's a flash in from Dad's Light. Dina's going to go down. It's a double kill now for Afflictus. We'll see if they can follow this up with anything. Mush Monkey's going to teleport in, but oh my god, he gets instantly held up, bursted nearly to death. Lawrence is still looking for some more kills, though, and Afflictus is on a rampage. Late-breaking triple kill for him. A nice stun again onto Fakers. Taz Life is going mad this team fight, but the heal will get Fakers out of there.
Taz Life just stunning and stunning and stunning. He's...
This Bard play has been on point this match, and they will be rewarded there with a secondary mid lane touch. Not bad pickings.
Absolutely, and we're saying Olivier has actually run out of mana, so he's no longer going to be able to use his abilities to wave clear. He's going to have to back.
One of the members of Nexus Hunters is shouting, "Come on, Karthus ult" in chat. It is frustrating when the opponent gets away with a few hundred hit points on everyone.
And they're like, why did no one pick Karthus? And they're like, oh yeah,
no.
oh, more Mush Monkey.
Olivier almost forgetting to weave that final auto in at the end, but he gets there in the end. going to be his 7th kill of the match to lower 1 death. Oh no, Flick just caught out as well. Shut down going over to Faker.
They do secure the dragon, but that's dragon for 2 deaths.
Well,
Not quite able.
turrets as well. I'd say overall
That's
that
true.
was good for the monkeys, but I don't think they really needed to give up either of those kills. Is the problem. Like both Afflictus and Mush Monkey were kind of just lagging behind the rest of the team. There was maybe some miscommunication or just some slower movement from these players, and ended up with some unfortunately kind of pointless deaths, and those may translate into a Baron for the opposing team.
It certainly looks like Nexus Hunter's going to be able to take this Baron pretty easily. It's completely uncontested currently. And only Tazlife is heading this way, and he's not even going to really get close.
And Dinorus, with nobody around to stop him, easily secures that smite. And that will be a Baron traded over for those 2 mid lane turrets. So overall, still a good trade for the Nexus Hunters, even if it's maybe not the one they were hoping for. Gives them control of the map once again. See what they do with it.
They certainly have some siege potential thanks to that long range out of Olivier. And he is certainly far enough ahead that he is a serious threat with that, especially that he's a Void Staff.
Yeah, and there's no reason to underestimate Fakers as well in terms of a long-range siege. I mean, it's actually a really interesting combo, Olivier and
Well, that is true.
Faker, the Jhin and the Xerath, because Xerath can mark someone from a huge distance away, and then Jhin can hold them still for Xerath to then Rite of the Arcane them down and just burst them from across the goddamn map if they want to.
Absolutely. If Nexus Hunters can avoid getting triple bartled like they did on that last center turret push, they have a good chance of taking this turret with the Baron.
Yeah, I mean, on the other side of the coin, Bard is actually, now you bring it up, a great counter to both Xerath and Jhin, since they both have these sort of channeled ultis, and Tazlife can interrupt either of those with some gold statuary. What was that magical journey?
It was a very interesting magical journey.
About a half inch. It was a magical half inch, though. That's what I tell the rookies.
It's the half inch of a lifetime.
Oh god. All right, let's keep the stream PG, maybe PG-13 now and again. Ooh, Mush Monkey takes a big chunk of damage there. Another one as well from the
He is
shot.
extremely popular.
Yeah. The lens gets struck like Ram, and then struck like bigger Ram.
The lens also feeling the
Smart. And this is the benefit of that siege that we were talking about earlier. Well, Sword is Destiny goes a little bit of a strange choice to pop it now. I don't really think they were in any position to take advantage of it. It looks like Destiny's just gonna kind of time out. Not much use out of it. That's a large cooldown to burn frivolously.
Absolutely. Tazlife with the ult.
Yeah, does catch 2. Olivia's gonna flash away instantly. Nice reactions there. Mush Monkey gets bursted down. Faker's going to finish off that kill. A nice stun from Tazlife does hold up the fly under the turret. That's a double kill for Graves. Brom's taken out of the picture as well. Meanwhile, top lane. This is killing some minions. So is Ban. Let's get back to the bottom lane now. As Fakers looks for a few more autos in the turret, and there's the pulse from Olivier, followed up with another kill from the Fakers, who is on a rightfully killing spree.
You definitely cannot let that Arcana Pulse hit you. It is doing so much damage with the Void Staff leading Echo.
Oh boy. Yeah, no, I mean, Olivier has 3 core items, while Mush Monkey is still tenuously working on his third, maybe halfway there. He's got quite a bit of a sizable lead at this point. Interestingly enough, he doesn't have all that much of a CS lead. In fact, he doesn't even have one at all. But you know, that could just be put down to the fact that his mechanical play has been quite powerful, but maybe his laning isn't on the same par.
It's definitely a possibility. He has been roaming around a little bit here and there as well. Of course, that is going to delay some CS.
Banner's gone with a 3rd item, Guardian Angel. I like that choice since, I mean, I said earlier that it could go either for a more damage-focused or more tanky Echo build. I like the choice of going the more tanky build because of how well his damage dealers are doing in this game. I mean, Jhin may not have a lot of kills, but Fakers is certainly doing work on that champ. And Olivier, of course, is just outputting massive damage. So right now, what they really need is a front line. And Dinorus, having gone damage early, is just now coming into his frontlining capabilities. So getting that really annoying, sticky item is going to help Banner do that job more consistently.
Absolutely. It looks like Daenerys is either working... It looks like he's working towards Black Cleavers. He's actually building a little more damage still.
Mm-hmm. Black
He,
Cleaver's going to help out Faker's damage, I suppose.
it is true, but I'm a little concerned because he blew up in that last fight very quickly. He took out
Mm.
Mush Monkey, but after that he died.
Yeah, he got stunned up under the inhibitor turret by another well-placed Cosmic Binding. Tazlife has certainly made a habit of those.
Has quite the game. He's only died one time. And with those 14 assists, he's definitely shown that he has some presence.
Mm-hmm. He's gone for the what's the name of that one? Zeke's Herald.
So
The newer Zeke's Herald. I still remember the old days. It was just an aura buff, but no, the Zeke's Herald given over to Zalent will give him some more crit chance, which will be rather nice. Allow him to do a little bit more damage during these fights. It's a little bit of a wonky item to use, though. It's so easy to accidentally set it off. It's hard to use the buff. It's not very controllable.
absolutely, and Dragon is up. Oh,
Tazlife and Zalent are a little cut out here. Tazlife is going to take a different course of action, head through that wall over there, and Zalent gets about half his health taken away for his curiosity near the Dragon Pit. The Volcanic Drake will be easily secured by Dinos. Elder Drake is now the next one on the clock.
and so far it's pretty easy to say that Nexus has the lead, but this game could still go either way.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing that monkeys with the mission are not willing to go down without a fight.
You got a mission. You got to complete it. And on that, you don't get hired by the monkey CIA unless you're very persistent.
How else do you get your bananas if you don't complete your job?
Hey, it's another day, another banana. Oh, banana. Everybody's just doing their job.
It's turned into a jungle.
Oh, God. No, we're gonna take this stream elsewhere. Because where you're headed, well, nothing good lies in that land of puns and horrible jokes. I should know. I've explored most of it.
That is going to be the Snickerdoodle and Mush Monkeys getting some vision around that Baron Pit because it is going to spawn in about 30 seconds.
Yeah, good timing for it. As we will be rejoined by our purple snake friend very soon. And last time, it was not really much of a contest as to who he gave his bounty to. This time I think the monkeys want to put up a little bit more of a fight for the Baron buff. To do that, they will need the vision.
Absolutely. We're seeing Snickerdoodle has finally gotten a couple of those defensive items. He's got the Hex Drinker, he's got the Phantom Dancer. So he's going to be a little more durable, but that may not be enough.
One thing we should take note of right now is where Afflictus has to be. He's down to the bottom side. There was a huge wave pushing towards them, so Afflictus had to go and deal with that. Oh, there's one final shot landing into Zalent. And so you could see that knowing they had a numbers advantage and Gangplank was forced to the wrong side of the map, Nexus Hunters tried to go for some sort of engagement there, leading up with Olivier's ult, but they weren't able to land quite enough damage. So they're going to be rotating towards the top side now. And just continuing to lay on the pressure. Mush Monkey feels the pain here.
So we're seeing part of the issues we talked about earlier, that Monkeys of the Mission's team comp still lacking that front line, so they're struggling to find the engagements they want here.
Yeah. Meanwhile, with a Vi and a Jin, even the Zerath helping out to throw some damage in, well, Nexus Hunters don't really have that problem. They can take engagements pretty much any time of day or night.
So they just need to wait for Olivier to basically find a pick with an Arcano Pulse.
Yeah, or Dinarus to find an opportunity to charge in, or even Bard Dog, if he gets a good ulting opportunity, could make something happen. There's the slow into Afflictus, but he gets outside of the range of the curtain calling time. Last few shots will come through, one of them landing on the Zalent. Nicely played. Bard ult is going to hold up the turret once again. There's the stun on a Dinarus. He's getting melted by that laser alongside a plethora of cannon fire. But Olivier gets a kill back.
The turret is still alive.
Barely any health left. Bard Dog is just going to tank it on up. Let his team walk in there and finish it off. Does take a good amount of health away for it, though. Tazlife gets snared. Fakers comes in with the crit, and Tazlife is gone. Unfortunate series of events for the Bard. Meanwhile, Afflictus is getting chased away. Slowly losing his health. This guy tumbling forward. Banner is playing defense for his team. Harassing opponents away and allowing them to finish off the inhibitor.
And he's able to get away without having his Guardian Angel popped. So very good use of it.
He did break chronologically, but Echo ult is not exactly a very long cooldown.
Absolutely.
As I think is in keeping with his character, I suppose.
And he does have the CDR to support that, and he's opted for a Warmogs as his next defensive item.
Yeah, it is definitely an interesting choice. Well, Mush Monkey is not doing all that well, so I guess Magic Resist is not really on his mind so much. Um, but I mean, a little bit more armor certainly couldn't have hurt if he wanted to just stack some more armor health items, maybe even like a Sunfire, or I don't know, maybe a Dead Man's Blade of his own to match Dinorus's. Go twinsies. But the Warmogs, he just wants a lot of health, I guess. He's kind of making up for the health loss that the Guardian Angel gives him as an item slot by Twisted Fate.
Poor Mush Monkey. He unfortunately is the victim of another Olivir Zerathol.
Mm. And with no Destiny to give them vision, give them any way into this fight, I really don't think this Baron is going to go any way but Nexus Hunters, but Taz Life is stalling it out a little bit. We'll see whether or not he can do anything besides that, or if that's all he's got. There's the dash over the wall. There's a steal for Snickerdoodle. He flashes out. He may yet get to safety. He travels through that journey. Dinorus is hard in pursuit for some revenge, though. He's not letting that Baron steal go unanswered.
He is not particularly happy about what just happened.
Dinorus is playing with fire here. You got a team to back him up, though, and there's the snare. Dinorus has some damage to follow it up. Black Reaver completed. Flash away from Taz Life. Well, I'm glad to say to safety, but Baker's put a stop to that.
I didn't really get a chance to notice it until just now, but Olivia has Rylai's now, so his Arcana Pulses are going to start slowing.
Yeah, and also, quite importantly, the ulti as well. Land a shot off that. Even more engaged potential. Wow, Mush Monkey takes a big chunk of damage. Dustblade does get eaten by the Zonian, but he then gets eaten by the Nexus Hunters. They're looking to claim their favorite threat. Nexus could be wide open quite soon. It's got to feel really bad for Snickerdoodle. A beautiful Baron steal against his team, still starting to lose the base.
Oh.
Get these game here.
Huge props to Snickerdoodle for that Baron steal, but unfortunately, it's just looks like it's not going to be enough.
Doesn't go down. The turret didn't have enough to kill him. Tanky Vi. As both Nexus turrets down, the Nexus now open for some hunting. Nexus season, boys.
And Nexus Hunters do get their prey, and his Nexus is going down.
All right, a well-fought game from both sides for sure. A beautiful Baron steal at the end from Snickerdoodle. Almost holding his team in there. I mean, there were so many blinking health bars on the side of Nexus Hunters. But they went for the throat after that Baron got stolen.
Absolutely. They did not hold back at all. Making sure they got those picks. Making sure they can finish off the rest of Monkeys with a Mission. And poor Monkeys with a Mission will have to be reporting back to HQ. Mission failure.
It's alright. I'm sure they'll be able to keep their jobs and they won't be waterboarded and then executed. I'm sure that wouldn't happen.
They're monkeys, not animals.
Oh. I see what you... Because monkeys are animals.
Hey.
I get it. Good stuff. He's learning from the best. He really is.
And now we're going to take this opportunity to check the bracket. And the other side of the match is Absolute Zero versus Boosted Esports. And it looks like the game has already started, but let me double check.
And hopefully we can get into that match if it has started. Or if it hasn't, one way or another. We do like to try and cast both of the semifinals. For those of you unfamiliar, perhaps, with Reverie, while Effect works out the kinks, we do like to try and cast both semifinals matches and then the finals, which is a best of 3 here. But since we are a little strapped for time sometimes, if the previous matches go a while, semifinals matches often take place at the same time. So we sometimes are forced into choosing to cast one or the other, and it's usually just whichever one starts earlier. So hopefully that isn't the case tonight, but if it is, we'll get into the finals as soon as we can, and the League of Legends will continue. Worry not.
Unfortunately, it looks like the game has already started. I don't know if I have anyone on either of those teams on my friends list. I don't think I do, because I don't recognize either of those names. At least they haven't made it as far as these semifinals in the past. So.
All right. Well, we may have to wait on the finals starting off then. Won't take too long, though, hopefully, as the game has already started.
And on that note, we are going to enter a small commercial break. Hopefully it doesn't take too long, but it could be upwards of up to 30 minutes possibly. It just depends on how drawn out the game is. So we will be back shortly. Don't go anywhere. Keep the stream on. I hope you guys can see the finals, because as always, it's going to be exciting. We'll be back.
seeing just the race, like, and it's a race that I've created in my head, you know. But you have to step away from it.
And we're back. We're actually able to join in on the next semifinal match thanks to chat. So thank you to Chris DLF for allowing us this opportunity to be able to watch the next semifinal match, which is going to be, let me double check again, Absolute Zero versus Boosted Esports. Let me double check to make sure I have the tags right. And Anchor is on Absolute Zero. I think I got the names reversed. I did. So give me a second to fix that. We are seeing an invade from Boosted Esports.
Well, currently you're seeing it. My spectator client does not seem to be cooperating with me as easily as yours cooperates with you. All right, it looks like I'm in. Just to make sure that we're all correct here, are we looking at 8 seconds on the clock?
Perfect.
Just hit a minute? All right, we're good. Good. I like it when things work. It's always a nice change. All right, and yes, it is Absolute Zero versus Boosted Esports, and just like our last semifinal match, and presumably since we're not having any guest teams show up out of nowhere, our final matches, we're having new teams, new faces throughout the whole semifinals, the whole finals of this weekend's Open. So I'm personally looking at the level 1 here. Not sure what to expect outside of just comparing the compositions. Usually I have something to say about this player or that player, because we do get a lot of returning teams here every weekend at Reverie, but this weekend, either they skipped out or they got cut out early on in the ladder. So we've got quite a few fresh faces.
Definitely lots and lots of new faces. And we're seeing both junglers starting at Krugs.
Yeah, thus starting on opposite sides of the map. That is going to favor Anchor just a little bit, just because Rek'Sai naturally has a slightly faster clear than Gragas does early on. But Anchor probably won't do too much of that. I mean, it's a few seconds faster at the very most, as Anchor finishes off his red buff while blonde hair. God, some of these names. Blonde hair.
Blonde.
Well, blonde hair is just about to be halfway done.
PR 3D Pred Yukio.
I'm gonna go with Yuko.
Okay.
That's what I'm gonna go with at least. You can go something else. That way we cover all the bases and somebody says his name right.
Alright, I'm gonna go with Yukio.
Okay, there we go.
DT, Mr. Automatic.
All right, but let's get into some of these matchups here. Since we didn't have the privilege of seeing a pick ban because of how late we got out of the last match in the semifinals, we do have the compositions just fully realized right in front of us without seeing the order in which they were picked, which makes it a little bit harder to analyze them. But one of the interesting things is the cannon mid. It is
Curious choice.
It's curious in that I'm curious as to how it came through in the picks and bans. There's the actually the knockup did land on a Mr. Automatic as he flashed away. He was CC'd there for a moment, so very close for Anchor. Almost got the knockup on the Automatic. Would have cost him some health and the summoner. I don't think he would have died in the end though. So first gank of the game, relatively successful, trading some summoners on the bottom side. Actually, no, that wasn't the flash. That was just the Roland's pursuit. Dang. That feels very bad then for Anchor, who burned his flash just to trade with an E, a basic ability.
Poor Anchor. And one thing to notice here is that both teams are really team fight oriented. Lots of engage and dive in potential from both teams.
Yeah, I really like the combo of actually having Shen and Kennen on the same team. You don't often see it because usually they're both denizens of the top lane, so you don't see them on the same team ever. Oh, Pie Killer actually getting body blocked by one of his own minions there. Like, as in, the Gragas got body blocked on the way into the body slam. That melee minion just saved Pie Killer, perhaps a summoner, or at least some health.
His blonde hair was not enough to make the minions move.
He's not even got blonde hair. He's playing Gragas as a redhead. He was alive. Oh, nice stun on Mr. Automatic. Crossbud continues the trend of good bards tonight. Takes some health on the way out, though. Maybe not quite as good.
It's gonna be hard to.
Onto Yuko, though.
He's doing a couple good stunts, but I'm gonna have a hard time imagining he's gonna surpass Tafly's bard play in the previous game.
Did have a pretty darn good bard performance that last game. As DT's Orianna is also something we haven't seen a lot of in the mid lane, or in general. Orianna's kind of fallen out of favor for a while now, but she's starting to creep her way back into the meta. There's the flash burn from Blonde Hair, and now both junglers rather, have burned a summoner.
That was
On
a
the bottom
really,
side.
really aggressive play and so close to the turret.
Yeah, especially with the enemy duo being a Sivir Bard, like they have a lot of field potential. Even if flash body slam isn't going to be enough, most likely.
I'm trying to see what both teams want to do here. Both teams are pretty even so far. Nothing too crazy. Though we're seeing some CS differences. That's about it.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of would anticipate Shen getting ahead of Malphite. He's just the better duelist early on. Partially because he doesn't have to deal with a mana bar. His Pred to continue these 1v1s is going to have to keep track of the blue juice, whereas Eric does not have that liability, and it's partially just because of the percentage damage built into Shen's newish kit.
And I would say Shen, especially the new Shen's auto attacks, just look so much cleaner.
That's true. It does look nicer as well. Gives him that little bit of a aesthetic edge in the lane, I suppose.
Makes it a little easier to see because Malphite's auto attacks just are so awkwardly timed. There's a long wind-up animation.
Jungler in for another gank here. Mr. Automatic is going to get knocked up alongside Yuko. Actually, a beautiful double knock-up from Anchor. Mr. Automatic is holding onto his Summoner's Nose until the very last second. Prey Seeker, well, it seeks out some prey, but he wasn't low enough on health, and Yuko's going to flash as well. Good discipline with those Summoners there from the bottom lane. As Blonde Hair shows up for a cursory barrel.
Putting some pressure back on Anchor, dropping him nice and low. I'm definitely surprised Mr. Automatic didn't pop a flash sooner, but he didn't pop it at all. So then he survives, so props to him. Knowing exactly how much damage he could take before needing to pop a heal to get away.
Yeah, that's what I meant. They had very good discipline with those summoner spells. Like a lot of other players would have panicked in that situation. There was multiple CCs coming his way, quite a bit of damage, but he was very patient. Counted out every second of time that he could survive without having to burn the heal. Only burned it when it was necessary. And that's the mark of a calm and collected player right there. This is an interesting Shadow Dash. Eric's playing around in the lane a little bit. Either that or he misclicked.
And misclick is definitely a possibility. It's definitely not a event that's rare in this game.
Pred is starting to feel the pain of having to deal with mana, though, in this lane. He's down decently low. Hard to last hit into the turret as Malphite without access to your cooldowns.
I'm curious to see.
Is actually going to be given a red buff.
Interesting. If I had to say, I'd say that Lucian and Braun lane is a little stronger than at just straight fighting than a Sivir Bard, but of course Sivir Bard aren't going to be looking to fight. They just want to farm and stay safe.
There's Anchor on the top side. A nice Shadow Dash is going to pull Pride back a little bit from his turret, and there's quite a bit of damage coming his way too. Bruiser's beating on him something fierce, but looks like he gets to safety. There's the flash from Eric, but he wasn't in auto range. Prey Seeker gets the first blood, though.
Ooh. Thought he was going to get away for a second, but the
Yeah, it looked like they just kind of ran out of damage at the end of that. Nobody wanted to be the one to walk under the turret, and then they both ran under the turret. So maybe a little bit of miscommunication between Anchor and Eric, but in the end, they still get the kill, still get the first blood. Oh, there is some beautiful combo from both teams, and it looks like it'll be Pie Killer coming out clean on top with Eric finishing off the other kill.
And that is going to be Absolute Zero taking the lead.
Hits his pie and kills it too. That doesn't make a lot of sense, but it is a reference and therefore funny.
I get it. Just raising my hand.
Yeah, Absolute Zero taking a decent lead. You're in the game 2K gold ahead. And got a lead in top for sure, as Eric has full kill participation. 1 kill to his name and 2 assists. So he's quite a bit ahead now of the Malphite. Let's see the exact totals. Yeah, about 500-600 gold ahead of Pred.
Oh.
And a good start for Pie Killer as well, who was pretty hurting in mid lane.
I suppose Pred for now is going to be grateful that he's just not too far behind in CSE, working towards that Sunfire Cape, but he doesn't have it quite completed.
I mean, grateful that he's playing Malphite as well. Can afford to be a little bit behind out of the laning phase and still do his job quite well. He's going to get stunned up there. A beautiful stun from Frostbud. Using the minion wave to land that Cosmic Binding. There's another beautiful ulti from Yuko, though. As Anchor flashes in for the unburrow. But they can't hold Braum up long enough, and now Frostbud's going to be playing for his team's hubris, overextending. Dog-like might pay for it as well. He flashes over the wall. DT is not interested in that chase. Doesn't have any summoners to follow. But it looks like they'll turn their sights to Dragon.
That's going to be Boosted Esports taking advantage of Pred's TP on that Malphite. He still has his ultimate too, so if they try to steal this, he has some pretty strong engage potential.
Yeah, it's interesting that Pred was involved in that fight and Eric wasn't, given that Eric is playing Shen and he's got two methods of getting in on a fight like that. He simply wasn't involved. Both Orianna and Malphite just kind of walked away from this dragon as he was going down. That left Anchor wide open to be able to take it. And now we see Eric burning the Stand United to get in onto this fight. Blonde Hair may go down as well. He has to flash out of the dragon pit, but Anchor is there to cut off his escape route.
Blonde Hair did not have his smite up. He did not have a charge, so he was unable to stop Anchor from just walking up and taking it.
Yeah, but I mean, they could still have taken the dragon. They could have stopped Anchor from walking up and taking it if they had just kept Orianna and Malphite around. But both solo laners they just wanted to go back to the lane. They wanted to get that farm.
So definitely a bit of a miscommunication there. And that further extends the lead for Absolute Zero here. That's not good for Boosted Esports.
Yeah, they had a little nugget of great team play with the teleport to the bottom side with the flank on the overextension, and then they just kind of threw it away, greeting for some more minions. He's going to catapult Dog-like pretty far ahead as well with that solo kill on the turret. 650 gold for him.
So now we
see
Pie Killer wanting some of the rock. Pretty certain the Malphite is not a pie. I could be wrong though.
Pie Killer can smell what the rock is cooking, and it's pie. He can smell what the rock is baking.
Do you think maybe Malphite has a clay oven in his chest?
No, I don't know about that one. I think that would be Scion would be the closest one to that. He has that like forge.
He does have like a little furnace in his chest, doesn't he?
Yeah, that's such a cool design they went with. I think the Scion rework was one of the most successful ones they've done.
Absolutely, he was strong, maybe a little too strong, but I thought he was pretty well designed. Definitely fit his theme.
Yeah, and it's certainly such a step up from where he used to be. I don't know how much of our viewership remembers the old Scion back from the days of yore, when Poe Belter climbed up to like rank 2 on the ladder just by abusing the hell out of the cheesy AP Scion.
It's definitely a character with a kit who didn't know what he wanted to do.
He was just a little bit of everything, all bundled up and stitched together, like some sort of mad science project. But one way or another, we do have a game at hand here.
Oh.
And with that kind of disastrous turnaround in the Dragon Pit, it is Absolute Zero still very much in control of this match. Frostbud has no fear. Walking right up at Blonde Hair. Sidestep from Blonde Hair will get him away from that CC, but it looks like Anchor is going to be on a killing spree. As Pred's unstoppable force doesn't really stop all that much.
Oh. DT looking to just do some damage, not really interested in using his ult just yet.
And DT has been outputting some decent damage in some of these skirmishes and in the lane, but he's played really conservatively. I've seen him burn the ulti, I think, that one time near the Dragon Pit. Other than that, he's never really been having too much of an effect in some of these fights. And, we're only 13, 14 minutes into the match, so there hasn't been too many opportunities for him to take effect, I suppose. He's going to take you. But, one way or another, he seemed to be something of a non-factor. Despite the fact that he's done quite well holding down flames, 40, 50 CS above his opponent. And maybe he'll blossom into a mid and late game carry as we move forward. In fact, Orianna has certainly got potential to do that. But I just worry that might be too late.
Absolutely. Well, Boosted Esports does have a composition that can make a strong comeback. It's got the Malphite, it's got the Orianna, it's got the Gragas. All three of those characters have ultimates that can just change a fight completely on its head.
Yeah, with the Glacial Fissure and Culling to follow up as well for some more secondary CC and some DPS during a team fight. They've got a team fight composition through and through. They can certainly hold their own in a team fight, even a little bit behind. But
if they're not careful and that lead gets too big, it's going to be trouble.
Especially considering that Absolute Zero no slouches themselves when it comes to a team fight. I mean, Sivir ulted Kennen is enough to put the fear into the back line of any team composition.
So we have seen a lot of Kennen being played in these like last 2 months. He's made a surprising comeback, at least at Reverie.
I'm happy with it.
Absolutely, it's always nice to see.
I like the Lightning Hamster. He's a fun little guy. He's so much fun as a play-by-play caster too, because slicing Maelstrom first off is a great ability. I just like being able to say it. And
Slicing
second,
Maelstrom.
he has such a huge impact on fights, and he makes for such great, exciting moments. I can always appreciate that, which is why I like that Soraka got nerfed really hard.
Poor Soraka.
Because she's the opposite of that.
Oh, they did damage. Heal. Oh, they did damage. Heal. Oh, they did damage.
I got
Heal.
No love for the pony healer.
We're seeing both teams looking for that opening.
Drake will be with us once more. That may be where the opening comes from. It is only a Cloud Drake, so it's not a supremely high priority, but Cloud Drake has gone up in value over the last few patches. It's no longer the lowly surf it once was. Now flies on wings of cloudy air, I guess. As GT continues to clear out minions in the mid lane. It's kind of been the story of the game for this guy.
Absolutely. Absolute Zero is playing pretty carefully here. They're not wanting to basically get caught with basically 5-man ults, because if they get caught with 5 people hit by any ultimate there, it is going to be a lot of trouble.
Absolute Zero is more than happy to keep this sort of impromptu ARAM up in the mid lane, though, as they have got push in their favor. It's past the river towards the opponent on both bot and top.
Oh,
it looks like Eric is heading top to correct a push that was coming their way. So they've got some minor map control, and that could only snowball forwards if this mid lane fiesta continued.
Shen doing Shen things.
Yeah, I mean, you see a Shen pick, you can imagine there's going to be split pushing in that game.
It'd be really weird if there wasn't.
Props to Anchor, though. Full kill participation so far. See whether or not he gets the participation on this one. If a kill does go down, he's burrowing forwards underneath the turret. He's going to get knocked back. Oh, blonde hair not quite positioning the explosive cast correctly. It actually knocks Anchor to safety rather than further into the turret.
Placed a little higher up. He definitely could have pushed him down, but it was just slightly too close.
Yeah, I mean, you could lay that down to poor play. You could lay that down maybe to the Gragas changes, where they made his explosive cask now have a little bit of a strange cast time where he actually throws a projectile with a sort of, I don't know what to call it.
Travel time?
Speed. Yeah, travel time. That's a good way to put it. We have a flank here. Looks like both sides are just itching for a team fight. Both teams have good team fighting compositions, but neither one has the courage to pull the trigger.
Yeah. I mean, it looks like Boost Esports doesn't want to fight because they are a little bit behind. And Absolute Zero doesn't want to start the fight because if they engage poorly, they could turn around on them very easily.
Oh, there's the damage that DT can do, and there's the follow-up from Fred. Frostblood may go down, he flashes out of the shockwave. There's a beautiful 5-man Kennen ulti. High Killer 6-4.
There is that slicing Maelstrom we wanted to see.
Oh my god, that was gorgeous. That is why Boosted is so elite of the team fight. High Killer is down by 60 CS. He got not good knock in mid-lane, but he's just so strong on Kennen. Kennen is a great champion. I like Kennen, is the point I'm trying to get across.
I can tell. Trust me, I like Kennen too, buddy.
He's itemized quite well as well. I mean, the Abyssal Scepter just makes so much sense when your opponent has a discernible lead against you, and it's so strong on the Kennen pick. He fits very well into this composition. I actually really like the composition that has been drafted by Absolute Zero. Now, that's not to say that Boosty hasn't done a good job of drafting their own comp. It's just, I think they fell behind a little bit too far in a lot of these lanes. And as a result of that, they just don't have enough juice. They don't have enough gas in the tank to take some of these fights.
Just little misplays here and there that have kind of altered the course of the fights that could have been won. Like in that last fight, Mr. Automatic was actually not in mid. He was in the jungle.
Yeah, being a man down certainly doesn't help. And, I mean, I don't think a 2-man Malphite ult is enough, sadly. At this point, they need to get, like, a near perfect wombo. They need to get like Fred exercising the ball delivery system, bringing DT's ult to the back line. If it is just a two-man Malphite ult, it needs to hit like both Godlike and Pie Killer. Because Pie Killer wasn't in that Malphite ult. Frostbud managed to flash out at the last second, so it really only hit, I think, like the tanks, Eric and Anchor. Oh, there's a three-man Bard ulti though. So the tank can follow that up. There's another slicing Malcolm coming in. However, it is going to be answered back by the enemy Wombo. So it is only going to be one kill. But when the Wombo is used defensively, it is very sad Wombo.
Unfortunately, once again, it is Mr. Automatic is not there with the rest of his team. He went to go clear that bottom side. And it's hard to say if he's could be a fault there. I mean, they need to clear those waves out, but whenever they do that, there's a huge risk for them getting engaged on, just like that.
Anchor is brave with that Shen shield on him, and looks like rightfully so. Pardon me. Pie Killer escaped by the skin of his hamster teeth. And that's going to be a mid lane turret falling. Absolute Zero continue to extend the lead they've got here.
And we see that Pie Killer slowly working towards that Zanya's Hourglass.
And that's going to be like a nail in the coffin, honestly. Pie Killer is a huge priority target right now. It's really hard to get him out of the fight already. The magic resist that he's built, so arming as well. Once he's got the Zanyas and he's able to opt out of being focused at any given moment, alongside perhaps even the Shen shield and even Frostbud keeping him safe, maybe with some healing, there's very little they can do to prevent Cannon from at least getting a good ult off. You know, not grouping up, CCing him down, that can be enough to keep Pie Killer from getting off another 5-man slicing Maelstrom probably, but just it's going to be almost impossible to keep him from at least getting like a 2-3-man one down in a fight.
So they need to figure out how they can keep him away. They have some tools to do that. They have the Bard ult, they have the not Bard. No, it is Braum.
Yeah.
Braum, Bard, they
These
both
are
start with B. Dang bees. I hate bees. They sting you.
I see what you did. It's a letter of the alphabet and also a vegetable.
And we have a...
It's not a vegetable at all. It's an insect.
It is a flying insect that makes honey.
Is it now?
I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong. I see...
That's why it's when they're talking about the birds and the bees. It has nothing to do with honey.
Seeing that Eric and Pred went at it there, but Pred is just not able to keep up with Eric right now.
Yeah, and Eric is looking to invest heavily in the split pushing Shen strategy. He's gone with the second item, Zzzz Rot. ZZ Rot, ZZ to the Rot.
Rotportal.
I honestly still don't know how to pronounce that to this day.
I just call it a Rotportal.
Is it like a rapper name or something? ZZ Rot? I don't know.
It could be.
Yeah, whatever it is going to give him huge pressure in the top lane. He's got both the ulti and the teleport available. He can influence fights. He can influence lanes. Just got a lot of influence to toss around in general. That's going to give them some pressure on this Baron pit, should they desire it. And just general vision control. Sure. Once again, we see Mr. Automatic kind of far away from the fight. If it were to break out.
Looks like Reverie Esports is playing a little further back. No.
Frostbud face checks into blonde hair. This is a good opportunity here for Boosted. Frostbud's going to get away for a portal, though. Bard is a bit of a slippery one. Reverie Esports are unable to pull the trigger on that.
Unfortunately, there wasn't enough damage available to pick off Frostbud.
I think if DT had been a little bit more willing to burn his burst there, they might have actually had a kill on a Frostbud. Or at least burned his flash, something along those lines. But it's a matter of how worth the support is, you know? Like, I think they could have had the kill if they had burned Oriana's combo. But Shockwave is what's holding them back in the team right now. That's what's keeping Absolute Zero from just going in hard. Pretty much just use the Oriana ulti. So burning that just for a kill on the support.
Absolutely. As Oriana gears up a little bit more, it becomes more and more threatening because Oriana is just one of those ultimates. We've seen it in the past, both in Reverie tournaments and just in professional play in general, that good Oriana ultimate is terrifying.
Yeah, and it's an old school composition, but you know, old dogs sometimes don't even need to learn new tricks. DT's going to be donated a blue buff here. Certainly going to be helpful for him. Once again, Frostbud will return to his vision control game. Both teams playing around the Baron pit, but neither one wanting to pull the trigger. And this is similar to what we saw in the mid lane. These teams, I think, if I had to criticize them both, I would levy the same criticism both of their ways. I mean, we've got a game with a Malphite on one side and a Sivir on the other, and we've only seen one team fight. It doesn't seem right. They should be doing more.
They're both not particularly fond. They have team fighting comps, but they don't want a team fight.
Yeah. No, I mean they want a team fight, but they don't feel
Want a team fight on
confident in
the.
the opportunities they seem to get.
Yes, they don't want to fight on the enemy's terms. They want to create their own opportunities, find a pick, and then engage.
And they're a little too invested in getting the perfect fight. And sometimes the perfect fight isn't going to happen. You got to make it. But one way or another, they are perfectly happy to go after these global objectives. And with Volcanic Drake joining us on the Rift,
It's
we're
gonna
going
be,
to try and take that down.
looks like Absolute Zero is going to get another objective uncontested.
Wanda went for the steal, but
This
Explosive Cask is no match for a good smite.
was a pretty good attempt. It was really close as far as I could tell. But, of course, that's just as best as we could tell. It's kind of hard to be 100% positive without it doing a frame by frame.
And getting down to the nitty gritty of that,
Ooh.
no, it's kind of difficult, and in the end, Zakir went to anchor. So, smite securing is an art that still, I think, has not been explored enough. But one way or another, the Infernal Drake goes over to anchor and goes over to his team. That's going to be a huge boon to Pie Killer, I'd say, most out of his team, as he's the one just stacking sort of raw damage right now.
So he does have that magic resistance shred, and he does have these sorcerer shoes, so he is going to do pretty good chunks of damage. And he has that Zonias now, so that's going to increase his survivability quite a bit.
Yeah, and I'm honestly just curious as to why Absolute Zero isn't forcing the issue a little bit more. Pop a Bard ult, look for a pick, pop Sivir ulti maybe. Like Mr. Automatic turning this corner, that might have been an opportunity right there. If they'd had a little bit more deep vision. Certainly would have been an opportunity. I think maybe that should be the next step they take. Get some deep vision, and it looks like that's what they're going for. And then try and make a play based around that.
They're setting up an ambush here. They're having dog-like push on bottom side with that Sivir. They're going to see if they can catch anyone coming to the jungle. But it looks like they might be in the wrong bush.
Yeah, and it also looks like Boosted Esports is playing very safe right now around that. They went back through their base to get to the bottom lane to contest this push.
Well,
But Frostbite's popping the ulti. They turn that turret to gold. And have opted not to do much with it. They're going to back away. Art ulti down.
Boosted Esports is not interested in any kind of ambush situations.
Yeah, they are taking the safest route at every possible opportunity. The backside, the backfiring side of that, though, downside, I guess I should say, that's the word that's designed for that situation, is that they kind of just seed the rest of the map. You know, they have basically no vision control at this point. They've got a few wards in their blue side jungle. They've got absolutely no control over this Baron should it get started off. And now they just have to walk at this blind.
No.
It's a teleport in from Pred. That's a cooldown taken.
He does have a little more wave clear. He's opted for Iceborne Gauntlet. So it does increase his dueling potential if he tries to go up against Eric, but he does not have TP now, so it's going to be harder for him to risk staying in that lane.
And, you know, this game just seems conspicuously lacking in fights. Neither side willing to
Pull the trigger.
take the initiative. Just go for something. We'll see whether or not Eric and Pred can go out. Nope. Like that right there is a little microcosm of what we've seen this whole game. There was a 1v1 that was waiting to happen.
Eric's like, maybe,
Eric
nope.
Didn't have perfect vision of the situation, and so he didn't take the opportunity. When I think he could come out on top in a 1v1 at this point.
Well, with the pick of Iceborne, it does increase some consistency to Malphite's damage output. So it would be a little even, but I don't know if he could still win.
I mean, even if he starts to lose, though, it's not exactly hard to escape Malphite.
That is true. He does have a
Shadow Dash away. You're not going to be dying so quickly that you don't have time to just get out of it.
He's definitely going to have plenty of opportunity to say, this isn't working. Time to go.
The 1v1 between Malphite and Shen is not exactly explosive. Unless it's some very strange builds. Suppose
Pure
AP
AP
is
Malphite.
AP Shen used to be a thing. You used to get, because back when Vorpal Blade was like a point and click damage ability, you used to be able
Didn't
to
it
get
have a
some
really
physical
high
shield
AP
there.
ratio too? It's like almost
It had
100%.
like 0.8, I think, somewhere around there. But what had a really high, stupidly high ratio was his ulti, and you could shield someone at like rank 3 with like 500-600 AP. You could shield someone for like 2,000 hit points or something ridiculous like that. You're just this Superman Shen coming in to save someone's life. And your own shield actually, Feint, the old style of Feint, which I suppose now is Spirit's Refuge.
That's it.
Used to shield you for like 300 hit points or something per use. You have like 5-second cooldown. So.
Speaking of side objectives, we see Baron started.
All right. Well, this is a trigger pull. Not going to be a team fight, but one way or another, this is going to be impactful when it goes down. And I think when is better than if in that sentence, because there's absolutely no one here to contest this. And 5 men strong, absolute zero, take the Baron. Easiest Baron I think I've ever seen.
It's very rare that we see a Baron taken when all 5 members of the enemy team are still alive and full health.
Yeah. They were just in the mid lane killing some minions, getting maybe some vision control on the bottom side of the map. I don't know.
Definitely
Boosted Esports have they felt like they've had a very weak grasp on what's happening in the match. They've been kind of a bystander to a lot of events.
And then we see the item lead slowly extending. See, Eric has 3 items to Pred's 2.5. Seeing Anchor with 3 items completed, 3.5, compared to Blonde Hair not even having one, only having 1 completed item.
And now we do have another dragon on the rift. This one is a Mountain Drake. That one's not going to get stolen either.
Anchor with another really good smite.
Continues his security of smites. Oh, just on the edge of that Bartle getting caught there. Pyko is going to actually be kind of left a little bit alone here at the front of the team fight, but he does still have his Zonia should he need to fall back on that. The rest of his team is cleaning up the scraps he left behind. There's a flash in from Frostbud, and DT goes down with 1 kill betwixt the lot of them. Boosted Esports is not looking so high.
So they're definitely in a lot of trouble. That was a really, really nice catch by Frostbud. It may take them a while, but they are looking for those opportunities.
Yeah. And whenever we have seen a team fight started, it's pretty much exclusively been Absolute Zero doing the starting. Frostbud often kicking off the festivities with the Bard ultis. Baron buffed up, Mountain Drake as well. There's some extra punch. I'm going to go ahead and take down a few more structures here. Back out before the inhibitor.
And they are going to back out safely before all 5 members of Boosted Esports can regroup.
Let's see what the next move is here for Absolute Zero. Very much controlling the tempo of this match. Not a very quick tempo, but controlling it nonetheless.
I'm definitely curious to see where this goes. Because the opportunities for Boosted Esports to make a recovery here are slipping away.
I think they slipped away a little while ago at this point. Boosted Esports, they still have that composition, but I mean, that's all they have now. Before, they had a little bit of a damage lead in mid lane. Before, they had about an even bottom lane, actually. But those things have escaped them, and now all they've got left is the strength of their composition. And I really don't think that's enough to carry them back to the victory screen here. Pred gets caught out solo on the top side. Flashing away, but still very much under fire. Pyko is going to dash forward, but not quite get the range he needs for the Thundering Shuriken to connect. That would have been a stun, too. Let's see how long you can leave them on a wild goose chase. Blonde Hair with the Air Drake speed buff is looking to try and catch up to the rest of the team. Pred is going to teleport away. He's back home. You all know, Bardo catches out Mr. Automatic. Yuko comes in to try and shield his AD carry from harm, but he finds a bunch of harm himself. DT's ulti in the back line did a little bit of work, but not nearly as much work as he's getting himself. And meanwhile, off to the side, Pykiller finds a slice of damage.
Pykiller using that teleport somewhere. I'm not quite sure if it was a ward in the bush to pick off Mr. Automatic.
Blonde Hair, no. Wait, what? You can do that?
Apparently so.
I don't. Did you see what Rek'Sai did?
Not quite. I kind of
No,
saw.
Rek'Sai right now has Tiamat. Oh, whoa! Actually, there's Pred going onto the 5-man knockup. He manages to get a kill. A little bit of revenge as Pred has both kills now for his team. 100% kills. But Anchor, while he was still burrowed, he activated his Tiamat.
Hmm.
So, like, it just did this little burst of damage right in front of him. No animation or anything.
Interesting.
It was weird. That's how he finished off the kill into the Malphite. I mean, not the Malphite, the Gragas.
Well, that is going to be Absolute Zero pretty convincingly taking that game. And that'll
So,
push them
I'm
into
sorry.
the finals. I know. So
I'm still on that.
I could see it still bothering you a little.
It really is. Like, you can't do the animation for the Tiamat. Like, there is very much an animation associated with that because you can actually use it to animation cancel on a lot of champions. Like Riven in particular is the one you see it the most often.
Renekton's
But
another big one.
apparently Rek'Sai, even though she's locked out of auto attacking while she's burrowed, has to unburrow to do that. Doesn't actually have to unburrow to use the melee item activation of Tiamat. I suppose it makes sense because, like, theoretically, if you were AP Rek'Sai for some ridiculous reason, you could use like Azonia's while burrowed, or you could use a Hextech Protobelt. Like, you can use all these other active items, and I suppose it's just an active item. But I thought the animation had something to do with the damage. I suppose it's just there for aesthetic reasons.
It's
Good
that
visual.
that is the case because it's not actually connected to an auto attack, like say, Titanic Hydra is, because that
Yeah,
requires an auto attack instead.
that is really interesting. Anyways, we are into the finals very soon. I think in just a few minutes here.
So let me double check to make sure I have my names correct. This is going to be Absolute Zero versus Nexus Hunters.
And both of these teams have had pretty good showings. I'd say that just from these games that we've seen already, though, Nexus Hunters definitely has a faster playstyle. Like Absolute Zero, they had the lead for a large portion of that match, and they were very cautious about exercising that lead. Whenever they did, it worked out well for them, but I think they need to just amp it up a little bit.
So they were very passive. They're,
Yeah, I mean, they took good fights when they took fights, but they passed up a lot of opportunities looking for like the perfect opportunity.
they took zero chances. Even opportunities that weren't that dangerous, they passed up.
But we do have just a few minutes while we get the teams into the matches. We want to go to a little bit of a commercial break, perhaps.
That sounds like an awesome idea. Don't go anywhere, guys. As soon as Champion Select happens, we will be right back. See you guys in a few. And we're back. This is the finals of our Reverie Esports tournament. This is number 64, and the teams are going to be Absolute Zero versus Nexus Hunters, which I actually believe I mixed it up. It's Nexus Hunters on the blue side and Absolute Zero on the red side.
Yes, it would be. Just looking at the player names here. That is Nexus Hunters on blue. And this is the first game of a best of 3 match. Ooh, some targeted bans coming from Absolute Zero. Jin, Zareth, they've been paying attention. But some targeted bans going the other way as well. Pie Killer's not going to be back on his Kennen, and neither will Anchor be on his Rex side, which I think he had up until like the last few kills 100% kill participation on. So I think that's a smart ban.
And that is a Lucian also being locked out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Faker's had a pretty darn good performance. It was on the Jin, but I can see targeting him even further if he's prolific, if he's proficient. These other synonyms, beginning with P, on Lucian, then keeping that out of his hands would be perfect.
And that's going to be very interesting to see what else they pick, because obviously we saw Olivier's game on Xerath he was just constantly doing extremely well.
Sivir being hovered, Sivir being locked. It's a utility carry for Fakers. And doesn't really give too much away about the team comp either, which is nice.
And it does
Sivir's just strong pretty much everywhere.
And it does take Sivir away from Doglike, who played it last time.
So yeah, it's a very good, very strong first pick for the side of the Nexus Hunters. We'll see if they can take their second prey of the night.
No, they probably had more prey, but
their second prey of the broadcasted night.
There we go.
The quarterfinals back do actually not get broadcast, as we only do the semifinals onwards here. Otherwise, we'd have quite a bit of work on our hands and not have our throats for very long. We'll call those the dark games.
We're seeing some hovers onto I forgot it. Gnar. I want to say Grags. That's obviously not correct. And we also see Graves. Lots of G's.
Yeah, you were close there. The right first letter. A few of the other letters were right too. I think they were in the wrong areas, but
wrong order. Say it's close enough.
Graves and Gnar. Graves is kind of first string like carry jungler right now. A lot of the other carry junglers around him have been nerfed, and Graves himself is actually going to get nerfed soon as well. Patch 6.20, the one looming on the horizon, has quite a significant decrease to the amount of armor and MR he gets out of quick draw, which is just actually quite a big nerf to him overall, because Graves is most effective, as anyone who's played against him or played as him knows, while he's right up in your face. That's when he does the most damage. It's when he is able to absolutely shred you. And losing that defensiveness makes it much harder to be in someone's face without also finding yourself in an early grave.
So they're going to have to start possibly opting for more defensive items earlier than they usually go. We usually see them go the warrior into something like a Ghost Blade for more damage.
Interesting choice in the Sejuani, though. Dinaris is playing some of the older school junglers here. We saw Vi last time around, now Sejuani. Teamfight-oriented, high CC, old school junglers. I like them. Pie Killer's going to go to Lillisandra, and it looks like Doglike will grab Jinx, who has seen some minor nerfs as well recently. But not so minor. The Doglike is... not so bad that Doglike isn't willing to pick her.
Interesting. Also, Echo being picked up, so that's probably going to go to Banner again, because he had a extremely strong game on Echo. And
ooh, Zillion.
Zillion is being hovered. Wonder if he's going to take it.
Olivier, we've already seen him play some pretty off-brand stuff. The Zillion is becoming more and more a staple. Jace, though, is not. Interesting. Long-range harass once again with the Gate Q combo. It fits to Olivier's previous playstyle. I like it.
It's definitely not a huge step away. It obviously doesn't have... It's a different type of projectile, because it's obviously... You have Xerath's line versus the point that the Jace projectile fires. But...
No, don't pick Soraka. slower match of the night, like inarguably, even though they had that early level one. I think actually both matches had an early level one, didn't they?
They
Yeah.
did,
So far,
actually.
this is the odd game out, provided we don't see a late invade, which we very well could. Hopefully, whatever issue is causing this sepia tone screen is going to be resolved very quickly.
I'm going to go ahead and take this opportunity to look at our compositions and decide how things are going to go. As we
Decide. We're the arbiters on high.
as we saw earlier, or we talked about, I should say, we're kind of curious to see what Banner builds because Nexus Hunters have a very AD centric comp if Banner goes more toward Bruiser.
Yeah,
So
I mean that may be one of the reasons why Dinarus has opted for a Sejuani jungle. It does provide some magic damage at the very least to the team.
it doesn't do as much as before, especially once they kind of nerfed the AP cheese build that some people were.
Yeah, it's true. What was the name? Mr. Oink, I think was the name of the player who made that popular.
I can't remember, but
Uh,
he'd only
Reverse
play AP
Sejuani.
Sejuani mid lane, and he was
Yeah.
doing so well.
Yeah, I mean, specialization is a good option in League of Legends. It's turned out that way for a lot of players. There are freaking Urgot players at the top of the ladder. You can do anything if you set your mind to it. There was an AP Caitlyn main for a long time in like Diamond until they just utterly destroyed AP Caitlyn, which I don't know why they did that still. I have no idea.
I don't either. Riot,
Was it a big problem?
I don't think so. It's not like APE who could just be completely annoying.
Oh, yeah, no. APE was disgusting, especially on ARAM. I don't know if you ever had the
I did.
misfortune to encounter that, but APE on ARAM was the most disgusting thing that you could possibly get.
Absolutely. Ugh. Don't remind me.
Just an auto victory for whichever team got him. But back to the match at hand, in which we will not be seeing any APEs or Caitlyn's, sadly.
Just kind of forgotten that
Um,
Yeezy even like existed because I haven't seen him in a long time.
oh yeah, no, he's never really been a part of the competitive scene to any large degree. The last time I can think of him being played was by Faker as a mid laner, and like in a match where SKT was so certain of winning, they put Faker on Yi in the mid lane, and they still won.
I actually vaguely remember that. That has been a while.
It was around the same time when he pulled Aurelia mid as a counter to Azir. Back when Azir, I think 2 patches after Azir's release, he was really, really strong, even stronger than he was recently. Um, if you could get around his like clunky, buggy playstyle. And Faker came up with the Aurelia counter pick, and it actually worked quite well for him.
Hang on, Faker. Definitely looking forward to seeing him play. But
We've got EV Fakers in this game, though.
absolutely, have to see if EV Fakers can live up to the legacy of Faker.
On the same par, I'd imagine. On the same par.
Absolutely.
You don't just take a man's name like that unless you've got good reason. I'm sure EV Fakers is going to be climbing the Korean ladder soon.
Absolutely.
I mean, these teams have actually been quite good. I mean, Reverie is a wonderful league. I enjoy casting for this, but throwing illusion aside, it is an amateur league, and the teams we get are in the range of, say, Diamond Master. Occasionally, we'll get a challenger player filtering his way through here, and these teams are certainly performing to that caliber. And that's not an easy caliber to perform to. A lot of people they see the pro scene and sort of the same thing with like pro traditional sports. Like you'll have the 50-something-year-old man yelling at the TV screen that he could play football better than the people on the screen, but it's really not the case. Like these players that we're dealing with, even just at the level of Reverie, even just at the amateur level of esports, are in the top 0.5% or the 0.2% or whatever. And so I appreciate getting to analyze and enjoy this gameplay, regardless of whether or not I'm watching the 0.0001% or the 0.05%.
Absolutely. Because even though there is a big difference between a player at top of Challenger to, say, Diamond 5, Diamond 5 players are still very skilled compared to the average. And speaking of, we are back in game. Seem to have resolved our issues.
And hopefully the issues remain resolved. That is the way I like my issues. As we can get into the match at hand here. Neither team looking for that late invade that we thought might have been a possibility.
But it does not look like it's going to happen. I don't think so. Love to see what Doglight and Frostbud do here. They're kind of hovering.
It looks like they're actually maybe going to go for a Gromp. I'd be surprised if they didn't, honestly. That would be the one advantage they get out of Anchor starting on the other side of the map. I mean, Graves is a pretty self-reliant kind of guy in the larger scheme of things. He can certainly handle just getting the leash from Eric as opposed to getting the duo leash. He'll probably be just fine, but not taking advantage of the opening to snag themselves a gold and XP lead for Doglike, grabbing that Gromp, seems a little bit wasteful, honestly.
I am looking forward to see how Olivier plays Jace instead of Xerath, because they are similar in their initial poke style, but obviously Jace has a much stronger all-in potential with that melee form.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm just interested in the matchup in general. Lissandra versus Jace is not something I've seen, I think, really ever at high levels of play. They don't often come up against one another, but they have both those champions have had brief stints in the top lane, so I imagine it may have happened at some point or another. But it's certainly not a common matchup. Ooh, nice stun there.
Not by any means, but it's definitely looking forward to see how it plays out. So we do see that Olivier has taken Cleanse once again, so he's ready for the Lissandra ultimate.
Yeah, it's a really just logical pick against something like Lissandra. And it's going to be really valuable, I think, in that lane in particular, because Anchor doesn't have any CC. And so Cleanse is really, really strong against teams either with like 1 CC or like 50.
Speaking of Anchor.
Yeah, Banner flashes away, but he's still within Boulder Toss range. And that's going to give Anchor the first blood off of the buckshot auto attack.
Unfortunately, he did not have any vision ups and playing really aggressive, but on the greedy side of things.
And already Anchor is starting to flex his early game muscles. We saw last time he was more than happy to throw some ganking pressure around in the early game. It was more in the mid and late game, really, that Absolute Zero kind of fell off with their pressure. In the early game, Anchor really did have a good few ganks, mostly in the bottom side of the map. And as a result of that, that's where they got their lead. We'll see whether or not they follow the same sort of pattern. Because right now, they're staying true to form. They're getting the early game advantage.
CS leads are pretty even in the bottom side.
Frostbud just has magnetic cosmic bindings. That stun was magical right there.
And
the minion that was like next to Bard Dog.
Seeing Banner just CSing. He's actually staying ahead of Eric.
Oh my god! I just realized that Bard Dog and Doglike are plays on Bard God and Godlike. I just realized this, and I feel so silly and dumb.
I just realized it too. I would have never thought about it until you pointed it out.
At least I can feel a little good. Effect didn't get it either. Okay, Eric's in the 1v1 with Banner up here. Eric is... that boomerang connecting would have evened out the trade, but Banner actually gets a little bit of an advantage there. Procking Hyper is a really big deal. As Mininar early on.
Absolutely.
Ico is roaming to the bottom side. He's going to face check right into Dinarus. Takes a good chunk of damage for it. The Glacial Path actually gets interrupted there.
He still gets out without using his flash. And now Anchor's taking a little bit of damage.
Yeah. They had enough pressure to keep Dinarus from continuing on that chase. And Sejuani isn't exactly known for her early game burst. But still a nicely timed charge. Nonetheless. Ooh. Good stun on the Banner.
Banner doing his best to try and keep Eric off the CS, but Meganar having as much AoE as he does with that Q, not going to have too much trouble picking up that CS.
Yeah, he did actually miss out on a few into the turret, though. It's going to give Banner a small lead here. And honestly, I predicted the lane going rather favorably for the Gnar, so seeing a small lead even for the Echo is really good, I think. Banner's doing quite well.
I think Banner is... Whenever we do pan up here occasionally, I see him jumping onto Eric, using his mobility to stick to him and do damage while he's in Mini-Gnar form. Because obviously Mini-Gnar is extremely squishy.
Frostbud's going to be ferrying Anchor in. He dashes forward, gets a slow, that smoke screen. But with Cosmic Binding already having been whipped, they didn't really have anything to continue this gank with. And Sejuani's arrival is going to force them to beat a hasty retreat.
Yeah, there's that aggression.
Yeah, and I think Banner's playing the lane pretty much exactly right. Playing around Eric's ability to pop the hyper stacks, playing around the Mega Gnar as well. It's all just about playing around the Gnar when you play into a Gnar lane like that. Play around his agenda rather than trying to create your own.
As well, Nara is extremely annoying in a number of ways. He does have weaknesses.
Yes, indeed. As should be of every champ. Which is why I'm glad Soraka got him. I'm gonna keep bringing that up. It just makes me so happy and warm inside.
Definitely not a fan of Soraka.
No, not at all. Not in any capacity. His bottom lane is going pretty heavily. In terms of just pressure, it seems like he's going pretty heavily in favor of Faker and Bard Dogs, but I'm going to give some props to Doglike, who's done a great job of holding his own in CS, despite the fact that we've seen Bard Dog and Fakers shoving up pretty often. Part of that does maybe have to be due to the fact that we've already seen a few ganks from Anchor down here. None have resulted in kills, but the pressure gained from just the threat of Graves being around the corner does mean something.
Yeah. Even if the gank doesn't, isn't necessarily successful, letting everybody know that, hey, I exist is not a bad thing.
Yeah, and it's not really costed them too much either. Summoners are still available for actually every single person in this game right now.
Well, maybe not for long, though.
Slowly. Yeah, Lydia may be burning one of them. He's actually turning around onto Pykiller, gets some good damage in, but there's the ulti, gets cleansed off. Anchor dropping the collateral damage with some good damage of his own. It looks like Olivia is going to be forced to burn both summoners to get out of there alive, but he does in fact get out of there alive.
So he held on to that cleanse, just waiting and waiting and waiting. Not burning it on the snare, but waiting for the entomb.
Yeah, it makes the most sense. If you burn it on the snare, then the entomb instantly follows right thereafter and you're dead. So you gotta wait until the last CC is used.
Absolutely.
So good patience again on the summoners. I think we mentioned that earlier for Fakers and Bard Dogs in the first game when they were being dove, but same can be said of Olivia's play right there. Oh, Anchor is the one who secures the crab. We'll see whether or not he can secure this fight as well. Pykiller's coming in. Dinerus may not want the rest of this fight, and there's the end of the line, living up to its name.
Well, that was definitely the end of a line.
I don't know if he even meant to hit him with that. Like, he hit him with the initial part of it, and then Dinerus flashed and got hit by, like, the very edge of the right side of the T shape.
The back blast.
Yeah. Oh, that's got to feel rough right there. And it's another kill to Anchor. He's got both of them now. Catapulting even further.
So that gives a very slight lead to Absolute Zero.
And he's certainly not going to be weighing his team down. Oh, God.
I get it.
Been holding that one the whole night. I tried not to. I really did. But, it's just...
To be fair, it's a good one. I like it.
Is it good? I don't think it's good.
It's a little obvious, but it's not too obvious.
You don't have to humor me. It's okay. You can tell me the jokes are bad. I know they are.
I can appreciate bad jokes.
Oh man, you're just gonna encourage me now. This is not gonna be good. I need to break this habit. Not enhance it.
Speaking of holding people down.
So you can continue his 100% kill participation.
Ooh.
Double flash away from that Bartle. That's some value out of the Denver Fate right there. Our dog maybe going down as Anchor picks up a killing spree, goes for a double and gets it. 4-0.
That was a still really good flashes by both Faker and Bard Dog to avoid the Tempered Fate, but it just wasn't enough.
Yeah, and intelligent to flash to the side as well, as I think both of them were so close to the front end of the Bartle that flashing forward would just put them on the back end of it. So they had to flash to the side to avoid it. But flashing to the side, of course, meant they didn't create any more distance towards the safety of their turret and eventually died anyways.
So that is going to further extend Absolute Zero's lead. Anchor just turning into a powerhouse with the 4-0.
Yeah. It's a little bit unfortunate to put all the eggs in one basket, but as I said, Graves is kind of the last of the carry junglers that we still have in the meta. And if there's any basket you want to put it in, it's the Graves basket. A lot of gunpowder in there. It's pretty explosive.
Absolutely. And he's one of those characters who can be deceptively durable.
Oh, yeah. Especially since the nerf to his E is not actually coming until next patch, so he still has the full armor and magic resist he gets from Quick Draw. Soon, though, he will not get the benefit of that. When you're at, like, level 18, or whatever level it is you have Quick Draw maxed, I think usually Quick Draw is max second, so that would be what, like level 13 or something?
13 sounds correct. It's been a little bit.
When you have Quick Draw maxed, you actually get armor and magic resistance equal to the amount of armor and magic resist you have from building a Spirit Visage and a Dead Man's Plate. course, you don't get the health, but that just gives you a picture of how much armor and magic resist we're dealing with right here. It's basically an item's worth. So that's where that deceptive Graves tankiness comes from.
And then, of course, those Graves are very, very commonly building those items that even increase both damage and tankiness at the same time. We see Phantom Dancers and Hex Drinkers just all the time.
The sort of like cheaty mitigation items, things that aren't technically health or armor or anything like that, but still do allow you to mitigate damage in some form or another. And we continue to bottom lane focus here. Fakers is going to spell shield up that slow, but the turret is no longer with them for a few seconds here as the Bard ult takes it out of the map for a few moments. Now Frostbud flashes away. He took the turret aggro for a little bit too long. Anchor is unstoppable though. See whether or not Fakers can turn this one around. The boomerang toss comes out. Graves gets away with a sliver of health thanks to the benefit of a heal from Frostbud.
Anchor is just having the game of his life, and the nice support by Frostbud facilitating that.
And every single kill is still with this Graves. We'll see what they do with it moving forward, though. Absolute Zero, if they play true to the form of the last game, may take it a little bit too slow.
And let's see, if they play the same way, they could definitely give opportunities for Nexus Hunters to recover.
Yeah, and I mean, Nexus Hunters is doing fine in some of the other lanes here. There's a definite lead for Olivier in the mid lane, as Pie Killer has fallen behind by 20 or more CS now.
And he's had that tier for a while, so I imagine it's stacked up pretty good.
Yeah, for sure. See when that Manamune gets transformed as well. Jace is no small threat. Long-range poke is actually one of the best answers to Graves that there is, because he isn't all that tanky until he's used Quick Draw, until he's auto-attacked you for like the Phantom Dancer buff and all that sort of thing. So if you can deal the damage to him while he's at arm's length, it's gonna like just be counted as full damage. You know, he's not gonna have any of his buffs up.
And we're seeing Anchor actually, instead of going for Ghostblade, he is going to opt straight for Phantom Dancer.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly makes some sense. With the amount of burst that Olivier is going to be offering, it'll allow him to dash up into the Jace's face and stay alive long enough to kill him off.
That's one thing. He really doesn't need to worry about building a Hex Drinker either. There's not a huge ton of magic damage, so you can build something else like a Sterix Gauger.
Focus bottom lane has been almost unreal this game. Fakers is going to get held up there for a few more moments when that Bard ulti. The zap comes through, lands on a Bard dog, and they're more than happy to take both targets if they have to. Diving into the turret, they will finish off that kill. Fakers gets out of there thanks to the noble sacrifice of his support. But another kill goes down, some more farm gets lost. And, I mean, Fakers done a good job of holding nonetheless. He's only died actually once. And he's still got some good CS to his name. But they've been keeping him from snowballing this game.
You can imagine that Bard dog, his sacrifices, he's having the Whitney Houston "I Will Always Love You" song playing in the background.
Oh, Olivia maybe going for a fight. Some good damage on a Pie Killer here, but Pie Killer was able to answer back with some damage and CC of his own.
Anchor's nearby, but
I don't think Olivier is going to go quite that far forwards, though. He's emboldened by the proximity of his turret.
You can see from his previous games that he is, oh my.
Oh, no. Oh, there's the flash away. The choppers didn't quite connect, but they've still got enough damage to bring him down nonetheless.
There's enough slows to see, Absolute Zero is just having nice teamwork overall, able to easily pick up Olivier there.
And I think it makes so much sense now to hammer home on the mid lane. That's the one lane where they've got a definite advantage on the opposition. So, like, just taking the leads that they've generated across the rest of the map, taking, of course, Anchor's 5-0 kill score, and levying that into some kills in the mid lane is going to just help them to finish off this game really effectively.
And another solid roam to the top side.
This is such a different way of play than what we saw last game from these guys. They're taking their lead and they're snowballing it forwards. They've gone from one outer turret to another right here. That was just some really good macro play.
Absolutely, and there really wasn't any vision control to see them just coming up to the river.
And with the way that they've been playing over the last few minutes, a lot of my worries are abated for Absolute Zero. They've done a great job of taking advantage of their advantages. I suppose that's one way to put it. We'll see whether or not they can continue that. Of course, 16 minutes of doing that isn't usually enough. It's very rare a team that can win a game that quickly. But it's heartening to see this sort of gameplay pattern emerge.
Absolutely. So it's nice to see them definitely being more proactive with their plays. And
Dogleg finding Bard Dog.
Bard
Flash
Dog-
in from Frostbud is going to be answered with a flash from the Braum, as well as the ulti. Oh, Faker's getting caught on the very edge of that Bard ulti. Well, Bard Dog is getting soloed off by Pykiller off to the side. Fakers will go down to Dogleg. See if Anchor can keep this fight going. Collateral damage comes through, lands onto 3, but doesn't find a kill. Yeah, they're going to back off and go for the dragon. A nice pick there.
And Frostbud's just having the tempered fates of his life.
Yeah, these have all been really well placed. Either nullifying turrets or getting picks. I don't think a single one of them is just like wholly whiffed.
And the lead is just slowly extending away from Nexus Hunters here.
This sort of methodical playstyle, albeit a little slower than this, is what won Absolute Zero their last game. So now that they've only upped the tempo, things can only really go better for them if they continue this kind of playstyle. We've got some key items completed. The Phantom Dancer that you were talking about earlier for Anchor is now put together, as well as Doglight's Runons. It's a really big power spike for Jinx once she's got a little bit of damage behind it.
I see he has opted for the double longsword, so that could build into a number of items on a Graves.
And Eric is now basically uncontestable, finishing off the Frozen Mallet and getting a Phage behind it as well. Got both a movement speed and a movement speed buff for himself and a movement speed debuff for his opponents. So basically nobody's going to be able to escape him once he starts autoing him.
That will likely end up being a Black Cleaver.
Oh yeah. Very, very highly aggressive Gnar build, but he's got the freedom to do that with how powerful the rest of his team is right now.
Absolutely, and that the health pool from the Frozen Mallet is going to make him a little harder to kill in terms of Banner just fighting him. Though Banner almost a Trinity Force.
Yeah, I imagine Faker's going to spell shield that. He did. I actually got the Sivir ulti as well, so that's an ult traded for an ult. I'm going to keep the pressure going. Basically got a double AD carry composition here. Graves and Jinx. And that turret will not stand up to it for very long.
It's going to be hard to stop that level of damage output from a really, really fed Graves. I said Greg for some reason.
It's a fed Greg.
His Graves is now...
I want them to put out a champion without like with a cool fantasy name, just with like a regular name.
Just Greg or Scott.
So which champion do you main? I'm a George. You know, I just really like to play George in the jungle. Hey! Oh man, I make myself laugh. Anyways, Rift Herald on the theme of regular man names, is being taken.
And they get it just in time.
Wow. Yeah, that thing doesn't stick around, by the way. Even if it's like taking damage if it's being taken, it will just go away. It'll just peace out of the fight if it's in the middle of being taken and Baron's about to spawn.
I was really hoping when they introduced Rift Herald that Riot would have it set so that if it wasn't taken, Baron would eat Rift Herald instead of it just melting into the void.
Oh, that'd be so cool.
That would be amazing, but unfortunately that's not what they did.
That would extend the animation, though, for quite a while. And, maybe there's an argument that if the animation's too long, a team wouldn't be able to take it until, like, 20 minutes, 12 seconds or something. And that would be unfair.
It could make it so it's just not a fancy animation. You see Baron just shoot to the ground, mouth open, and swallows the Rift Herald.
I was just kidding. I don't think any team is going to make that argument. That seems pretty darn far-fetched. But,
you never know with people.
Maybe not quite as far-fetched as the chances of Absolute Zero losing this match, as they have a very sizable lead here.
And it's only extending. We're actually seeing Daenerys opting for a Haunting Guise.
Where are we looking? Oh, yeah, Daenerys. He's gone for some more damage on the Sejuani. Senior Hulk into the Haunting Guise. We do have the double Bard ulti, though. Braum ulti comes through, though, and there's the Sejuani follow-up. That was some beautiful wombo. High killer in the back line doing the best he can. He's looking at the damage like that. Gnarls gets the wall down. Bard Dog goes down. It wasn't enough follow-up. Oh, it's so heartbreaking for the side of Nexus Hunters. They got basically the perfect wombo combo. They just didn't have the damage to finish anybody off.
Oh man. So a one for nothing, showing that Nexus Hunters actually was able to get a pretty good solid amount of damage out, but as you said, not able to finish anyone off.
Yeah, I don't really know what to put it down to. Maybe Olivier wasn't in the fight long enough. You saw him off to the edge, and landed a good Q at the end, but maybe he just didn't output enough damage during the fight. It was so quick and over so fast, it was hard to tell exactly what went wrong and where. But it was a lack of follow-through on a really good Sejuani ulti.
Because he did flash off to the side instead of flashing back towards his turret. That did put him in a safer position, but it also put him in a position where he couldn't do as much damage with auto attacks. He's only able to poke.
When a fight goes that quickly, when the wombo determines it that swiftly, it's hard to make the correct decision because you don't always have all the variables at that moment where you're making the decision of where you flash to, how much damage you need to put out, of whether or not it's even worth dying just to make the team fight all that more explosive for your team. Like maybe even Olivier should have jumped into the middle of that team fight. It's hard to tell. One way or another, though, that's a glimpse of hope that is just shuttered away almost instantly. And Absolute Zero continue to have a chokehold on this game.
Ooh. Frostbite, Temper Fate a little bit quick to the trigger there, but they're able to back out safely.
This is the first Tempered Fate we've seen not land on anyone, I think. Aside from the one that forced 2 flashes, but I'm going to say that was
still a good.
Sort of
that counts. If it forces a summoner, it counts. That one didn't do anything.
One is more than 2. I learned that one. Sesame Street.
You sure?
That was a close steal attempt. That thing had 58 health when the Winter's Bite came through. Thankfully, Doglike's auto attack was a little faster.
Those dang auto attack travel times.
That was really close.
That was extremely
Bard God
close.
almost had that. It's so hard for me not to call him Bard God now and call it Doglike. God, I feel like such an idiot having not realized that earlier.
Oh, we get another fight here, maybe?
In position. They got the sweeping trinket as well, so they can see that Bard Dog and Dinorus are around the corner, but I'm not going to pull the trigger on that. Maybe a flickering shadow of Absolute Zero's ways of last game. Not pulling the trigger on that fight. It looked pretty good for them having the flank position there. But they're kind of wary, I'd imagine, because the last fight was much closer than I think anyone anticipated it.
It certainly was for me. I knew they were going to have a strong team fight because of the Sejuani ultimate, but I didn't expect it to be that close. As you mentioned, if Olivier had been in a different position, maybe they could have gotten some kills there, but he made an on-the-fly decision to push himself in a safer spot.
Yeah, and it's generally the right call, honestly.
Yeah, I don't blame him in the slightest.
As well, like, there's just not enough damage being output by anyone right now. I mean, Faker's had such a shutdown laning phase. I'm honestly impressed that he still has over 200 CS at this point, because of how often Anchor was just living down there, and that still took its toll. You know, he's got the CS. He's simply not putting out the sort of damage numbers that Doglike is in the fight. And Anchor, of course, is 6-0 right now. So,
and Anchor
with that
actually
sort of start, it's a bit hard to hold a team fight down.
Absolutely. Oh, Anchor might be in trouble here.
Yeah, if they can shut down the Graves, that's pretty big for them, but he's got some reinforcements waiting in the wings.
He had a little bit of help.
Bye.
See, Bard God.
Got on the wrong side of the river.
He's trying his best to get away here, but
See if he can get the execute. He might be able to create enough distance long enough. Nope, now he finds himself in the bush.
unfortunately,
I think had he run on the turret, he still would have given up a kill there. I think he'd been tagged recent enough.
he did not have enough time to suicide there. He was not going to have enough time to get away either, because Frostbite does have those mobility boots.
Speaking of time, that is kind of what he bought, though. And he bought an escape for Dinorus. So, in the end, wasn't entirely useless.
Actually, it's not like he is worth a ton of gold currently.
It's true.
Speaking of things that are worth a ton of gold, though,
Yeah, Baron. Big purple danger noodle. That one's going down pretty swiftly. Oh, the carry combination proving fruitful for them. Nice three-man Bard ulti. Maybe one of the men isn't what they were looking for, but Eric comes out swinging from his short stint as a statue with a double stun. Olivia is going to be melted as well. That is a three-man lead now on the board for Absolute Zero.
It's basically an ace because Bardog had been dead for quite some time and was unable to be at that fight.
Right now, with both Jinx and Graves ready to fire, these turrets are going to melt like a hot knife under butter. I think that something seems fishy about that. And, the Nexus turrets are going to go down as well. This could very well just be the game here. It's pretty likely, actually.
That is definitely looking more and more like the case, though. Anchor getting low enough that he wants to.
Just respawn.
So it's not game yet, but this is Nexus Hunters looking like they're in a lot of trouble here.
Snag themselves another turret on the way out. Absolute Zero is playing the safe game. They've got plenty of time to play it, too. We're still only 27 minutes, 28 minutes into the match, so not exactly afraid of scaling into the later game. They're going to hold on to their lead for quite a while yet. And all they've really got to do is find another small opening.
Absolutely, and with that bottom inhibitor down, that gives them a number of options.
Especially with Baron buff, rather, sticking around for quite a while yet.
They were able to get to that bottom side extremely quickly after picking up Baron. So they have a large amount of time left on that buff. Bo, Pie Killer.
Pie Killer. He's not exactly the best target, though. He might be able to just self-ult, but they didn't even give him the time. Bard ulti now coming through, though. And it reverses polarity back to try and escape, but there's Anchor picking up a legendary kill, and oh my god, the triples just like that. Dearest may go down with the Quadra as Anchor is trying to make the distance, and he makes it. There's the Quadra for the Graves. Oh, does he want the Penta? Or do they want the victory? They want the victory more than they want the Penta kill. They're not even going to wait for minions. They're just going to go straight at this turret.
Well, that's a bit of a vision for them for you, with Pie Killer being the only victim of their team.
Yeah, he was sort of caught out, but not so much that his team couldn't follow up on his death. And
It's
that's
just
going to be, I suppose, now at least not a perfect game for Absolute Zeros. They did give up one kill.
It's pretty close to perfect, though. Perfect for a lot of their members, especially Anchor with 1305, a massive threat.
He almost has 100% kill participation. He's one kill away, one kill or assist away from having 100% kill participation across the whole match.
He's definitely the star of this game, that's for sure. He would put so much pressure on that bottom side.
The focus turned out pretty well for them. But that will be only the first match of our best of three between these two teams here. As we are going to get into the next one very shortly. Give us just a few moments, folks.
We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. And we're back. This is the finals. Best of three. We're currently one win in favor of Absolute Zero. They completely dominated that last game.
Yeah, and the instant ban of the Graves against Anchor makes some sense. Anchor was definitely the golden boy of the last game. He had 99 or 95% kill participation. He was in all but one kill, and there were 19 kills. I'm not going to do that math right now, but it's 19 divided by 18. It's very good. Very good number.
Definitely pretty significant in a large number of ways.
Rek'Sai as well, continuing the jungle focus, makes a lot of sense. And Nidalee, all right, 3 jungle bans up against Anchor. And meanwhile, Xerath, Jhin, Lucian, I think this is the same exact 3 bans that Absolute Zero went with last time around. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
So they're not interested in letting Olivier play that Xerath to any extent.
I think one of the biggest things that Nexus Hunters has to do is find an answer to the bottom lane focus. Maybe this Thresh is a good answer. A defensive support to some degree. The Lantern is really powerful for saving your AD carry. And then I think just deep vision on the bottom side, jungle presence on the bottom side. Anchor has already shown his hand. He ganks bottom. He ganks bottom frequently and hard. And so I think they've got to keep that lane safe.
Definitely need to look for ways to prevent it from happening because he applied so much pressure. And sure, that was often facilitated by Frostbud's Tempered Fate on that Bard, but still, Anchor being down there all the time really messed with the tempo of Fakers and Bard Dog.
Well, Dinarus going back to the Vine makes some sense. His first match of the night, which was rather successful, he was on that champ. Viger would be interesting, especially this early on in the draft, as would Yasuo. Both of these picks are rather counterable. To grab them this early without seeing a mid pick at all would be really brave. But hovers are hovers, and it's hard to analyze until something gets locked in.
Absolutely, we could spend 40 seconds talking about one pick they have on for those 40 seconds, and they switch to something else at the last second and be like, well, that was all for nothing. So we definitely get to see possibly another unusual pick. They're hovering on the Riven. I don't think I've actually ever seen a Riven at Reverie. But nope, they're opting for the Vigar.
Picking it this early in the draft, I don't know. It just feels kind of dangerous to me. They could go with a mid laner who does quite well. I mean, we've already seen that Pie Killer is happy on Lissandra. Lissandra does perfectly fine into the Vigar matchup, can avoid his burst, can crowd control him down, and hold him still and allow his team to finish him off. And that's the main weakness of Vigar. He's immobile. You get next to him, you can murder him. But all his jungle focus does mean that Kennen wasn't banned out, and Pie Killer's happy to go back to that pick.
Absolutely, he had an extremely strong game. That first game we saw Absolute Zero playing. And Fakers on Draven. That'll be interesting to see. And we still need a top lane pick for Banner. He's played Echo twice in a row, but maybe he wants to play something different now that it didn't work out quite as strong last game as it did in the game previously to that.
Yeah, I mean, I think he held his own in the laning phase perfectly fine, but he didn't have enough of an impact on the board, and I think he needs to have more of an impact, and Olivier needs to have more of an impact because of the amount of focus that Banner and Fakers were under. The other 2 solo lanes need to perform, given that they're not going to be ganked as often. If Anchor goes to the same sort of playstyle, of course. That's what we're assuming here. So that is Aurelia. Aurelia is certainly a champ that can snowball a lane.
And it is a character that can do decently against Gnar if she can catch him in mini Gnar form without his jump. One of those characters that can do a lot of damage in the early game with that true damage. And Frostbud probably would not be surprised to see him returning to the Bard. But he is hovering on Trundle now.
His melee supports would be kind of risky against a Draven. You all in the Draven, you got to kill that Draven. If you don't kill that Draven, he's not going to let you get away. You're going to go down pretty quickly. No, not a Katarina.
And now he's just messing with us.
All right, well, Prom Sivir it is. As the last few moments tick down, and there's the compositions locked in. All right, we got Eric returning to the old faithful of Gnar top lane. Pie Killer as well, getting a comfort pick. And Doglike and Frostbite are just going with a pretty safe bottom lane composition here, but it's going to be matched up against some really interesting picks from the opposition. Viger mid lane, Draven AD carry, which is really feast or famine champs.
I'm actually seeing that Olivier and Dinars are actually switching roles. It's going to be Olivier in the jungle now, with Dinars go into that mid lane. Interesting. Well, on that note, we are going to take this opportunity to take a small, tiny commercial break. As soon as we are in game, we will be back. Don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be just we'll take a little time to we'll see where we go with that. Don't go anywhere.
Give us just a few.
And I just realized I was talking with my microphone muted. Whoops.
I just realized that Dinorus and Olivier swapped roles.
Yes, they
Olivier's in
did.
the jungle. Dinorus is in the mid lane.
They did indeed do that.
It's interesting. Maybe it's just Dinorus has this pocket pick Viger mid, and he wanted to slip that into the game. But we do have a little bit of a pause, as it seems one of the players is having some disconnection issues.
Well, hopefully they can resolve those quickly, but this is what happens with these online tournaments. Little issues like this are a thing that do happen quite frequently.
Yeah, so far tonight we've been blessed with their absence for the most part. We had a short pause at the beginning of last game. They've all melded together. But this one shouldn't take too long if it's a similar issue to the last one, which was resolved in just a few minutes.
Absolutely. For those of you who are just joining us, this is indeed the finals. This is a best of 3. We're currently at game 2, which is possibly going to be the last game if Nexus Hunters don't do as long as if they can play better than they did last game, because they kind of got, to put it lightly, they were demolished.
Yeah, I mean a 19-1 scoreline is never really what you're hoping for going into a match, but they have definitely shaken it up in terms of picks, as they've now brought the Viger mid. They've got a Draven AD carry, which as evidenced by that flashy mastery, it seems like Fakers has some practice on. So I'm excited, honestly, to see how the mid and bottom lane progress, at least this game.
Absolutely. I do look forward to seeing how Banner tries to deal with the Eric on that Gnar. Aurelia is somewhat similar to how Sticky, comparable in stickiness with, say, an Echo, but we'll have to see.
And in the way you have to play that lane. It's actually, I think, even more favorable for Aurelia than it is for Echo because of the mechanic behind her Equilibrium Strike and the way she can get the stun off while being just a little bit under her opponent in terms of health. Because Eric and Mininar is naturally going to be harassing her son, so the stun will pretty much always be available for Banner. That loss of like 5 to 10% health is actually something of a minor benefit. At least more beneficial for Aurelia than it is for other characters.
Absolutely, and if Eric gets caught out, say, without his jump and without the ability to transform into Meganar, can very easily go down to an Aurelia. I'm seeing Pykiller's being really aggressive with his poke there.
Yeah, it makes some sense. I mean, Viger is not all that scary in the early few levels, and Kennen is very much a harass-focused champion. And the more he can force Dinorus to trade, the better, because he's got the sustain advantage here with the Doran's Blade, giving him lifesteal on hits. He's got the sustain advantage in terms of mana as well. Not having to use it is rather nice, pretty freeing. And so if he can get some early trades in the lane, it's only going to be good for him.
Definitely looking forward to see how that plays out, because obviously Vigor is one of those characters, if you let him get out of control, he can be a huge threat, but he has to get there.
I do like Doglike's pick of Sivir against the Vigor, though, because not only the move speed from the ulti allowing him to dash around fights and avoid the damage more quickly, but also the spell shield allowing him to get through event horizons or block out a primordial burst or something like that. It's a really good AD carry pickup, I'd say. Oh, Pykiller may have been in some trouble, but Olivier just had no follow-up from Dinorus, who was nowhere near that engagement. At the time, he was farming under the turret.
If Daenerys had been a little closer, maybe they could have picked up a kill there, but...
Yeah, I mean, Pykiller not even having to burn the summoner there, as Olivier actually burned his flash to get in on that gank.
He did burn his flash to get close enough to land the perfect kill. Speaking of Anchor, though...
His favorite lane. Down here in the bottom side, there's a flash from Fakers, but a flash in from Anchor does land the stun. A beautiful hook pulls him back away, but is not nearly going to be enough, and that's first blood going over to Doglike.
And Banner is going to go ahead and take this opportunity to cancel his TP, because he really wanted to go down there, but unfortunately, Fakers is the first victim of this match.
Yeah, and the same pattern is emerging as we've seen in the last few games that Anchor has played. He's really got a fondness for this lane, and he's back here again. He's back at it, forcing another flash. And Fakers might start to... He's going to start maybe to get to him, especially on a Draven pick. It's just so bold to pick Draven when you know you're being focused by the opposite jungler every game so far.
Absolutely.
So Olivier, I think he was maybe spotted out by Eric, or he predicted he was there because he actually juked downwards, which made it so that Olivier didn't have the flanking route that he thought he had. Still having to burn the flash. Eric does get out alive, though.
It's funny, because if If Olivier just stayed up in that bush, basically making sure that cutting off any escape routes for Eric, Eric probably would have died instead if he just hadn't tried to help out completely.
Possibly. I mean, you're playing that game of like, I don't know, musical chairs, musical bush.
Indeed,
It's hard to tell exactly the right direction to choose.
That is true. I think musical bush is the appropriate name, though.
Well, Anchor's here in the mid lane for a change of pace. There's the nice stun, actually connecting at max range there. The volatile spiderling as well, finding his target. And he's actually going to turn onto Olivier now. Repels away as his health gets a little low. And that's another flash burn. Universe is now open perhaps to another gank, but Pykiller went way too aggressive with that lightning rush, and he has to flash himself, so both mid laners missing a summoner now.
Then RS at least making sure he's a little safer. A lot harder to get a gank on him if both the jungler and the mid laner don't have a flash.
Yeah, it was just a little bit of lack of respect from Pykiller after Anchor had already been chased away, forced to repel out of the fight. He still lightning rushed forwards and paid for it with a summoner, so the advantage that he would have had is now dissipated, evened out, and I wouldn't be surprised if we saw either jungler in the mid lane again quite soon.
We're seeing Banner's actually CSing quite well.
Yeah, I mean, that's been a pattern that we've seen. Banner's never really dropped the ball in top lane. He's just... The last game, the rest of the map fell too far and too fast for him to make up for it, really. Hopefully this game he'll be able to have a little bit more of an impact on the Aurelia pick, on a more carry-focused top laner.
We'll have to see. He's waiting. Looks like he's waiting for his next teleport opportunity because he did burn the TP earlier. He actually has not had the chance to back yet. But his TP will be up shortly, and he is backing just in time for it.
Fakers and Bard Dog playing pretty far up. They've actually got Olivier waiting in the wings as well.
Dropping some vision for them.
Really safe. Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Given how pushed up they are, they can pretty much expect Anchor to be down here soon. Right now he is on the top side of the map clearing some jungle camps, but Bard Dog is still getting aggressed upon here. It's going to be about an even trade. Pykiller maybe getting dove into the turret. There's no ult even Olivier, but Dinarus has his. More than willing to pop it. That's a kill for the Viger.
And that is going to be, if they're not careful, that's going to be the start of a very scary short mage.
It's only a short way. It's not a short joke.
Poor Vigar, no one takes him seriously because of his height.
Well, the more kills he gets, the more AP he gets, the more seriously the opponents are going to have to take him. He's going to start ramping up in damage pretty quickly.
Absolutely. It looks like he's opting for an Abyssal Scepter, which is not the worst decision.
This is a much better kill rate than it was last game, as it took until the very end of the game for them to get their first kill. Meanwhile, this match, they're getting it around 7 minutes. That's certainly an improvement for the side of Nexus Hunters.
Absolutely. They're doing a lot better. Anchor not ganking quite as frequently as he did previously.
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of the ganks actually came in the sort of
the mid-game,
10
you're
to
right.
15-minute mark. So
yeah, the earliest mid.
They're acting earlier than that, and I like that. Bard Dog landing the hook on the Frostbud. We'll play him backwards as well. He stands behind Dog-like, though, as a quick way out of the fight.
Fakers is doing pretty good with his Draven harass as well. He's doing
I mean, Dog-like has held his own in the lane, too, though. He's actually ahead in CS.
That is true.
You could maybe put part of that down to the First Blood from Anchor's earlier gank, but part of it at least has to be down to the fact that he's playing the lane decently well. Flay not connecting. It's unfortunate.
They do force the shield from Frostbud.
An easy skill shot from this position, since it is so versatile.
That is indeed true.
And this is the dynamic I was talking about between Banner and Eric. Banner is going to take that harass as he's last hitting, but he's got sustain both built into his kit and the corrupting pot. And it's going to mean that he's open to some stuns should he engage later on. And Bard Dog gets caught by the Winter's Bite. He flashes over the wall to the safety of his turret. There's a teleport, though. They've called the Aurelia... Oh, they've called actually Dinosaurus in. Pardon me, wrong teleport. Dinosaurus gets caught, though. The Glacial Fissure knocking him off the stun as well. A beautiful hook onto Anchor, but it's not going to be enough to save the tiny man. Purple Mage goes down. Now Fakers is on the wrong side of this team fight as well. Bard Dogs makes it to the turret, though. Fakers gets stunned. Oh, that's all she wrote for him. Anchor's going to tank that up as long as he can, but maybe a little bit too long. He'll get Pykiller to safety, but there's no such heal waiting for Anchor.
One turret shot, just too many. So that is going to be Daenerys picking up another kill. So they won. Next Hunters lost that fight, but Daenerys, another kill for him is certainly not the worst thing in the world.
And Anchor deliberately tanked up that turret there, too. He had flash up. He actually stopped moving at the edge of the turret range. I think he thought he would survive that last shot, but
Seems he underestimated the stacking damage from turrets.
yeah. Sadly for him, he was squished. The spider was no more. That's all right, though. They still very much won that engagement.
The turrets are a giant can of raid.
And getting that first turret is even more important now than it used to be, given the first structure gold. First brick.
All said and done, though, Absolute Zero is definitely not as far ahead as they were before those turrets went down. So it's much better for Nexus Hunters. They're doing a lot better.
Yes, but to be brutally honest, doing better than last game is not a very high bar to set.
That is true.
They need to do much better, and I think part of that, I think they're on the right track for that. Honestly, we're on to the top lane from Daenerys as the dragon's been taken on the other side of the map. Olivia's gonna get stunned up there by the cocoon, and the follow-up stun, the Bard Braum passive, pardon me, proves deadly. Speaking of Bard Dog goes for the steal, but the hook is outdone by the smite. In the auto attack, I suppose, from Dog Legacy is actually the one who secured it. Anchor's playing pretty aggressive here. He has a lot of health left to work with.
He has to be careful.
Chance hook over the wall could spell doom for him.
Absolutely. You cannot underestimate the damage from a Draven.
Meanwhile, Banner continuing to come out on top on these trades on the top side. Never quite get the kill. If he can finalize them with those, that would be really strong for him. He's already starting to snowball this lane.
He's slowly extending that CS lead.
Yeah.
Well, Daenerys being forced back away from his turret, but
yeah, Frostblood even happy to take turret hits in exchange for trades. They just want to get that turret pressure.
Banner getting a little damage there onto the Gnar.
Both junglers having completed their first item. We're reaching about mid-game-ish status. Early mid-game. I wanted to get better terms for separating out the game because the early game does have so many different facets. I feel like the term early game doesn't really encompass enough of it. But Anchor's up here on the top side. As see if Banner can sneak perhaps a kill or just get out of here alive. That seems to be his one true ambition now, but an auto attack from Anchor will put to rest any hopes he had. That's unfortunate.
It was going to be extremely hard for him to get out of that. Oh, Pike Killer, though.
Yeah, Frostblood is in the mid lane as well. Pike Killer may yet get himself a kill. There's the Thresh Lantern, pulls Daenerys to the wrong side of the fight. I'm not sure why he took that Dark Passage. Oh no. What? Bolt the Toss doesn't connect. There's no slowing to Olivier. But he probably would have caught up anyways. Meanwhile, Frostblood has run from the mid lane fight here over to Olivier. Olivier may be in some trouble now as Eric is able to turn back around. The Hyper Procs are doing some work, and Frostblood is body blocking everything. Oh, Daenerys is still alive? What? Not for much longer, I suppose. Pike Killer gets the kill. I don't know how he got there.
He walked away very slowly.
Okie dokie then.
He was able to do quite a bit of damage to Pike Killer, but not quite enough to finish him. And during that whole process, we missed it, but Olivia picked up Anchor. Anchor was slow enough that it looked like Olivia was able to come in and finish him off with an ult, but the camera was not there at the time. But still, that is another set of kills that puts Absolute Zero ahead.
Yeah, and a Pyrrhic victory, to say the least. That kill into Anchor cost them quite a bit, and it was not in the end worth the cost.
No.
It seems like once again Absolute Zero is pulling ahead in this match.
We definitely have the lead currently. We'll have to see if Nexus Hunters can pull it together.
Frostbud is very protective of his vision. Let's see if Bard Dog pays the price for that pink ward, pays the iron price. Oh, Olivier is here for the backup. Pike Killer may be standing a little bit too far forwards, but he does have Frostbud to tank up some frontline damage for him. Looks like Bard Dog will pay about half the iron price and walk out.
Well, that is going to mean no deaths. That's certainly good for Nexus Hunters.
I thought that Anchor was about to get bursted to hell and back, but Daenerys just isn't doing enough damage right now. Olivier is going to get stunned up there, caught out on the wrong side of the team fight. No, the Dark Passage looked like it took him to safety, but there's an auto attack following him. along the same route. And it's 2 kills for Absolute Zero. Anchor does get caught out, does get bursted. It's actually a blade from Banner finishes the kill.
Daenerys' Vigor ultimate doing not quite enough damage to get him, but it was super close, and of course that one blade, as you mentioned, able to finish the job.
See if Daenerys and Bard Dog can hold this turret. Frostblood is going for the dive here with the Glacial Fissure. Pie Killer caught up inside that event horizon. Just about times out right when he needed it to. Turret goes down now, and looks like Daenerys and Bard Dog are going to have to walk off with their tails between their legs. Nothing left to defend.
There's Absolute Zero once again pulling ahead with another couple of kills and a turret.
2 turrets, 1 dragon. Every turret and dragon so far taken. And a sizable 5,000 gold lead for themselves.
So we can confidently say Next Hunters is performing better, but Absolute Zero is just outclassing them still. Oh, all hope is not lost.
An interesting difference between Pie Killer's cannon performance this game and the last one. He's gone for a different first item. Even against Daenerys, who's running a bursty AP assassin in the form of Vigor, he's opted, instead of the Abyssal Scepter, to go with the Rylai's just for more utility, I suppose.
It does give him a nice health pool as well.
Yeah, and that's certainly not something to be sniffed at, but I think the Abyssal Scepter would have been better defensively. Eric's going to get stunned up. He's pretty far away from the Meganar, but he's doing some good damage with that Frozen Mallet, and Banner simply can't escape anymore. He once had Dominion over this top lane, but those times have long since passed.
Eric getting that Frozen Mallet is enough to turn the tides, and Banner didn't quite have Trinity Force finished. He has it now, though, alongside some Ninja Tabby.
Baker's Draven is forced to be the meekest Draven I ever did see, walking away from every fight that comes his way. Anchor gets some good damage into Bard Dog. Daenerys is taking a Dark Passage in. There's a flash forward from Bard Dog, but Anchor neatly sidesteps the hook. That'll be the end of that.
Well, we're seeing Dragon is going to be up in 10 seconds. Most of Nexus Hunters is on this bottom side with Pie Killer and Eric split pushing the top side, with only Banner going to stop them.
There's a hook onto Anchor. We'll see if they can burst them down quickly enough. However, the repel gets Anchor to safety, and now he's diving into the back line. They've lost their Sivir, though, and Anchor is rushing off all 8 legs. Just put to pound and turf to get away as fast as he
Here
can.
comes Pie Killer and Eric. They have TP'd in.
Both rushed into this fight. A double stun from Eric. He gets stunned up right afterwards, though, but then Pie Killer comes out of the event horizon in time to follow up. Anchor will go down to that Vault Breaker passive from Olivier. Once again, it's a Pyrrhic victory.
Looks like a 2 for 2, if I remember that correctly. Yeah. Yes, it is 2 for 2. So Next Hunter's coming out with even, but still, the lead remains massively in favor of Absolute Zero.
Yeah, and Absolute Zero is going to be able to take the Ocean Drake off the back of it. So despite the evenness of the kills, likely won't be even in terms of objectives. I mean, Pie Killer and Frostbite aren't exactly the duo that are going to kill this the quickest out of all the possible pairings. But it will go down eventually.
Absolutely. It looks like it's going to go down far before anyone from Next Hunters can get in position to steal it, and there it goes.
That was all dog-like. Did all the work, gets all the credit.
Nice job, AD Carry.
Well done, well played. But we're once again in a bit of a dire situation. And Absolute Zero, the ones doing the diring, they're diring very well.
Absolutely.
It's a good verb. I like that verb.
It is a very, very good verb. The stakes are dire. Oh, Rift Herald once again getting some attention.
Yeah, Absolute Zero really doesn't have any reason not to give it that attention, and to grab themselves the buff. Probably give that over to Eric, I'd imagine. Maybe Pie Killer, though. Kennen does weave autos into his combos quite often. Yeah, it looks like it'll be Eric, though.
Eric does make the most sense, in my opinion. He's going to be split pushing the most often, if at all.
Going to be solo fairly often, and thus able to make full use of the buff. Which does give most of its benefits when the player wearing it is solo.
I've seen lots of pings. It looks like Nexus Hunters wants to set up an ambush. They did this in the last game.
We saw the same strategy before. Admittedly, it is a little bit better with the Vigor. Vigor's quite strong, but you know, I don't think anyone's walking into their trap anytime soon. If you look at where Absolute Zero is scattered across the map. This bush seems one of the less likely places they'd show up.
Absolutely. Seeing that overall, Absolute Zero has pretty good vision control. There's wards everywhere.
Yeah. You can even see a pink ward pretty much on par with the bush that they're sitting in right now. And it looks like it'll be discovered by Olivier. And yeah, the vision control from Absolute Zero is pretty suffocating, honestly.
You need
Relegated. Go ahead.
you see, I'd have to see Nexus Hunters do a lot of work to get vision control back. It's going to be hard for them to make ambush plays like that if they don't have some kind of vision control.
If I had known you were going to do a squid impression, I never would have interrupted. I love squids.
They do taste good.
That is my favorite game. You would eat them? Come on.
They taste very good.
They're people.
Delicious people.
I don't think Bard Dogs has moved from that bush up until now. That's been what, like a minute and a half? He was dedicated.
He was
The
very
rest of his team
dedicated.
Gave up on the strat, but he
It's
was
like-
dedicated to that strat.
By God, I will get somebody in this bush.
He's back at it. The man, the myth, the legend. Bard Dogs. Oh no, he's leaving the bush.
Well, they're looking for a catcher. Anchor is kind of out of position a little bit. I don't think he can get away.
He's overextended, but once they see them chasing Anchor, that mid lane turret is forfeit. Anchor's gonna get hooked. The CC chain is pretty real. Repel up into the sky. He comes back down only to find a good, healthy portion of death.
And
The rest of his team is rotating to the farthest point of the map away from his grave, though.
we're seeing most of Nexus Hunters head that way, but it's going to be far too late. That turret is going to go down.
Yeah, and that's the kill traded for the turret. Pretty much exactly what I thought would happen if they went that hard for that kill. Yes, Anchor was overextended, theoretically, but the amount of resources they had to commit to capitalize on that was simply not worth it in the end.
That is
That seems to
definitely...
be like what's happened every time Anchor has died. You know, they've had to commit more resources to killing Anchor than has been worth killing Anchor. Pretty much every single one of his 5 deaths. He's got a very different scoreline than he did last game, but I'd say he still has an impact on the map, on the game. in general.
Definitely still an impactful player for sure. Scores can be deceptive. Who knew?
Presumably us casters. That is our job.
I would like to think we know those things, but you never know.
I don't know. You're the color guy. You have to know things. I just have to shout about things. That's my job. Play-by-play is easy. They just shout about things like how Anchor's getting hooked and then getting knocked up in the air, but he goes back up in the air once again of his own volition, this time to repel away. And that's a bi-ulti burn to Anchor not dead. Once again, soaking up a lot of resources. There's the whirling death coming through, but Anchor just about sidesteps it all 8 legs, getting into safety, and now Pyko's in the back lines, wreaking some havoc of his own. Banner, well, there's really no chance of escape from the frozen mallet Gnar, now is there? See if Pykiller makes it out? Yeah, he does indeed.
Dinar's-
Thundering Shuriken as a parting gift.
Dinar's not quite able to get the kill there. He was very afraid of sitting in that bush waiting for the Zanias to end.
Frostbud is not too phased by the Viger damage. That secondary mid turret going down. Absolute Zero looks to continue to press this advantage, but both Wallop and Winter's Bite didn't connect. Ah, Vegasaurus would have been dead either of those landing, but neither of them did.
Very, very unfortunate, but good for Dinaris.
He gets to walk free. A free purple man.
A free purple dwarf.
You gotta make that distinction. Saying dwarves ain't men? Is that what you're saying here?
Maybe. Depending on what form of literature we're talking about.
You know dwarves are a real thing.
Yes. But
Right.
in...
Let's not delve into the political correctness of the Viger in this game, as it is getting rather late.
Technically, he's not a dwarf in any sense, he's a Yordle, but...
He is a Yordle, yes indeed. Air Drake is
melting.
under fire here though, and melting very swiftly. Meanwhile, a repel over the wall from Anchor gives Frostbud somebody to leap to, and Pykiller a kill as he goes legendary 8-1 and 5. Olivier's caught out in the wrong part of the jungle, and Faker's caught out in the wrong part of the rift, which is really just all of it at this point. Fly Killer is a legendary.
Definitely a rough set of circumstances. The lead is extending once again. Though, as we mentioned, the game is not as one-sided as it was in the last game, so that's better than nothing.
Yeah, I mean, the early and mid game certainly didn't look it, but this later game is later game, I think is the right term, as we're only 25 minutes in, is starting to look pretty heavy-handedly in favor of Absolute Zero.
So there's
Most
another.
of the deaths really are on Anchor, and that's just because of the amount of focus he's had since his performance last game.
So that is another turret going over to Absolute Zero. That's 6 turrets for them compared to the 0 from Nexus Hunters.
Yeah, that score alone, I would say, makes the game relatively one-sided, as Absolute Zero just have free reign across the map now.
Only the inhibitor turrets and Nexus turrets are left.
They're going to be pretty easy pickings, especially if that Baron buff goes down, which it very well could. Wouldn't be surprised if that's their next objective. And as much as the 6 turrets are impressive, the lack of having given up even a single turret is equally, if not more so.
Well, Anchor being a sneaky spider and stealing away that blue buff. There are some pings onto the Baron.
Yeah, Whirling Death coming through, checks it. But there was nobody attempting it, so that's Faker's ult down for a little while. And we'll see if Absolute Zero wants to start this one off. Anchor takes a little bit of damage. I think it was still angry because of that Whirling Death that came through.
He's like, I'm going to hit somebody, it doesn't matter who. And a nice cocoon,
That
but...
of Anchor gets the cocoon into Dinara's max range, and Eric is on a killing spree. Eric the 8th. Olivier is kind of giving up a little bit, leaping into the back lines there, giving up on that specific fighter. And now Bardog is going to be the next one hunted down.
That is going to be 4 kills being picked up. And Faker's doing his best here, but unfortunately there's going to be very, very little he can do from the train that is coming his way.
Yeah. Faker's has had a rough time in this series in general. I mean, the term camp has such a dirty connotation to it, but that really is what Anchor has done with bottom lane throughout this whole series. And even the match that we saw them play against Boosted Esports, Anchor dedicated a fair bit of his time to the bottom lanes. That seems to be his sort of go-to, his MO. And Faker's felt the brunt of it this match.
Absolutely. It makes a lot of sense. Especially if his lanes can handle themselves and he can provide support to one lane and just basically completely crush one lane out of existence.
Mm-hmm. Especially when the opposing team picks a Draven. Like that is the lane you want to camp. You don't want to let the Draven get anything if you can avoid it. And if that's already your playstyle, it's playing into it. Which is one of the reasons why I was a little confused at the pickup of Draven, honestly. I would have expected the Sivir to be on the side of Fakers, honestly, or an Ezreal or something safe. Oh, flash it.
Bardog not quite landing the hook he wanted there.
Crossbow, though, gets caught out around the side. Maybe they can burst down the Braum before anybody else shows up, but that is a bit of a tall order. Loses half his health, but the other half is still good enough to stay alive with, but not for very much longer, it seems. Pacula is legendary, though, and is with not much left to throw his way. He got free reign in the back lines of this fight. Banner's going to go down as well as Anchor gets some revenge for the amount of focus the enemy team has placed on him this match. A lot of these team fights, picks up a double. Fakers dodges out of a boulder with the benefit of the Emu, goes to Blade. Looks like he'll weave his way out of the fight, but...
There's a 3 for 1 once again. Once again going in favor of Absolute Zero, but 3 for the support. Not so good.
Fakers gets hit by that frozen mallet, and
that's all she
the
wrote.
rest is just long, drawn-out death. Shorter, still rather drawn-out feeling death. Olivier's going to get bursted as well, leaping in, trying to save his turrets, but only giving up his life as Bardog falls under the second Nexus turret, which is soon to fall after him.
That is likely going to be game. I have a hard time seeing the game not ending.
Tossed back off his fountain into the waiting arms of Doglike. He picks up a triple and ends the game in style.
And that is going to be Absolute Zero taking the second game. That is going to be the end of our finals. Congratulations to Absolute Zero. That does give them a free slot into our buy-in tournament. That's actually tomorrow night.
Mm-hmm.
And so hopefully we can see everybody there. And with that, that's going to be the end of the night, I think. I think that's about it.
All right, everybody have a good one. And thank you all for tuning in. If you enjoyed and you want to see tomorrow's broadcast, you want to see next week's broadcast, we do these every weekend. Please do click that follow button. It means quite a bit. If you didn't enjoy, then we're very sorry. And hope that next time you do, if there is a next time.
I do hope we can see everybody next week. Before we end the night, I'm going to go ahead and take this opportunity to give a small shout out to our sponsors. The first being, of course, Battlefly. For those of you who did play in the tournament, you know what Battlefly is. It's basically a service that lets us create and manage our brackets and helps people sign up for the tournaments. And next, we do have a Law History app, which is basically a summoner search tool, like Law King or na.op.gg. And it's on your phone, basically. So it works on Android, it works on iPhone. And last, but certainly not least, there is Vibi, which is the service we use to basically create highlight reels. You take a video, you put it on their website, and you can create a highlight video without actually downloading any additional software. So that's a big boon, because usually you'd have to have a program on the side, such as an Adobe program or something like Sony Vegas. Maybe even use something a little that comes generics. I think it still comes default with Windows. What do they call it? Windows Movie Maker. It's been a while since I've thought about it. But that's gonna be it. I hope we can see you guys all again next week. For those of you who enjoyed the broadcast, and with that, we're gonna go ahead and end the night. Night, guys.